Presented. Mr. Coachman, would you please have an invocation for us?
Let us pray. Gracious and eternal God and our Father, Lord God, we'd just like to thank you, Heavenly Father, for allowing us to see the beauty of another day. Ask you to go with us, O Lord God, as we go to take care of the business of your school district and your children and the parents, O Heavenly Father. Ask you to continue to watch over us, protect and keep us, O Lord God. Ask you to watch over the families, O Heavenly Father, that's been suffering through the hurricanes and Texas, O Heavenly Father, in Florida. Ask you to continue to bless this country, O Lord God. Continue to help the school district arrive above all things. These and all of the blessings I do pray. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Under approval of the agenda, I need a motion to approve the agenda.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion to approve the agenda, please.
I second.
All right. Is there oh, you've already seconded. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Ms. Fleming? All right. Did you get that, Ms. Morris? Everybody voted with except for Ms. Fleming. All right. Mr. Black, Kate recognitions, please.
Yes, sir. I'd like to thank you, Madam Chairman, school board members, Dr. Lane, and the community for showing up tonight so we can honor some of our students, because there's some things you don't know that I want to share with you. First, if y'all will look behind you, this is one of our new billboards that is used in our district now. Last spring, I was contacted by Ms. Anderson, and we got several students from our campus. I gave them to her, and she took a lot of pictures, and out of this group, this is the picture that was chosen to be used. And I'd like to introduce these students to you that are here, and I'm gonna tell you something amazing that I've learned since then. The first young man on the left is Jordan Chaplin. Jordan graduated last year, is currently was in our nursing program and currently at Northeastern not Northeastern, I think it's at Florence Darlington in the nursing program, and I don't know if his parents are here or not. To the next student is Heather Hodge. Heather is from the Blenheim area. She's in the 11th grade, and amazingly, she's planning to go in the Air Force. And if Heather would come up. I think they want you to stay around for some picture taking.
Hold on just a moment. And what I'd like to do, Madam Chairperson, is actually join me and what part of the
Mr. Driggers, this is Blenheim.
Okay, and what we're going to do is these wonderful students come up with from your area, or your part of the county, you know, also come join us. But yes, the chairperson come up.
Wrong person. All I had to do is walk up here.
I don't know if anybody's taking a picture or not. The next student is in the front is Andrea Spratling. She's from our engineering department. She had to work tonight, but she plans to attend college in engineering next year. Behind her is Jacob Evers. Some of you might remember him from last year. He is currently enrolled at Limestone as an athlete. So this came out fitting, and I'm sure he's at football practice right now preparing for this week's game. I contacted his mother. I don't know if she's here. Here she is. She's from the McCall area, Mr. Norton. I'll let Mr. Norton do the honor.
Please. Thank you very much. She was awesome. She was very, very much. I appreciate
Don't
that.
tell that. The next young man to the right of Andrea is Tyrone Alford. He is from Clio, Mr. Woods, so you might as well go ahead and get on up. He's in from the business department, and he plans to attend college next year in business also. The last young man on the far right was a student of mine. He actually took the fire program at night, which you'll learn more about next month. But it's Will Parrish, and he is from the Bennettsville area. And Will plans to be a fireman like his father.
They're the ones that did the work.
I have two more groups of students we want to recognize. The first group were juniors last year, and they had to take a test called the United States History End of Course Test, which is by no doubt the hardest end of course test given in South Carolina. These students that are fixing to come up scored 100.
Wow.
The first student is Shakira Bridges. I believe Shakira graduated early on us and went on to college, so she's not here tonight. The next young man is Richard Haney. He's from McCall, Mr. Norton, so I'll let you do the honors. The next young man is Nathaniel Johnson. He's from Bennettsville. Ms. Fleming or Mr. Branch, one of them. Or both of them. The next young man is Frederick McCray. I don't believe Frederick made it. Coach Boyd probably didn't let him go. He is an athlete. He's on our football team. He's also from the McCall area, Mr. Norton. The next young man is Darian O'Neill from Bennettsville.
Is he here?
And we have a two-time one, Will Parrish from Bennettsville.
That's a lot of kids to make 100. Yeah.
Thank y'all. This last group were 10th graders last year and took the biology one end of course test. And they all also made 100. Mr. Coachman, you're going to have to stand a few times on this one.
That's what I'm talking about. I've been waiting.
First student is Taylor Balling. Unfortunately, Taylor, I think, moved and we lost her. The next student is Dylan Callender. He's from McCall, Mr. Norton. The next young man is Kadarius Ellerby from Wallace. Got none. Joseph Lee from Wallace. It's gonna be you, Mr. Woods. Amy McKenzie from Cloud. Oh, she was here. I'm sorry. Jaasia Pegues from Bennettsville. Jeffrey Swan from McCall. Dalton Sweat from Wallace.
Well,
Karika Townsend from Bennettsville. And Antonio Wooten from Wallace.
yeah.
You know him. Thank y'all. And I do want to share one thing with you. On the bottom of their certificate, I incorporated the goals of the school district in the mission. It says, the certificate of excellence with the confidence and expectation that you will endeavor to continue to excel and be a lifelong learner and leader. Thank
That's
y'all.
wonderful. Thank you. All right. Next, we need approval of the minutes for August 7th, 2017. Would someone like
Make
to
a
make a
motion, we
motion?
approve the minutes for August.
Dr. Bunch, just get Dr. Bunch.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Dr. Bunch. Next time we need to write it out, Northeastern Technical College. Thank you, Mr. Woods, catching that.
Well, before I get started, I want to tell all these students that I know a great college down the street that they can go to school. Well, we're here to give you a little report on where we're at with the Winn-Dixie project, and we also want to talk to you about the dual enrollment program and the shared resource model that you have information in front of you. We're going to tag team this. I'm going to first start with this, and then I'm going to go into funding. How do students pay for this? And then Dr. Bunch will come in and talk about the details of the two dual enrollment programs that we have. And then the last piece, Dan Bazard, our board chair, will come up and talk about the future of NETC in Marlboro County.
And before you go forward anymore, I did not properly introduce you. I thought Dr. Bunch was going to do this. This is Dr. Kyle Wagner, who's the president of Northeastern Technical College. So everybody
thank you.
will know who he is. Sorry about that.
That's okay. So as we move forward with the Winn-Dixie project, what we're looking at is this is what the first phase of the building will be. Phase one will be the lobby area, which is right here when you walk in, and they'll see this when they walk in, and through the glass will be a open 18,000 square foot soft landing space for manufacturers in the area that want to do expansion into Marlboro County. And the importance of this piece of the building is that new companies moving to the area will be able to come into the building and train students right there in the building. And that's important because that'll also allow high school students to come in and work with that equipment and learn about those programs. And you'll see that when you walk in the lobby of the building. The next feature in the building will be in phase one, will be as you take a left and walk down the hallway will eventually circle the whole building, but that'll be the 4 classrooms, and the blue area at the very top, the light blue area, is a 20-bay welding shop. And that welding shop is to support existing businesses that are already here in Marlboro County. Across the hallway will be 2 state-of-the-art distance learning rooms. These distance learning rooms are not distance learning rooms that you've seen in the past. We submitted about 45 days ago a grant from the federal government and requested $1 million to expand distance learning at all 10 of our high schools. We got notified yesterday that we scored a 184 on both proposals, and the cut score was 174. So we were 10 points above the cut score. So what that only means is this will bring 21st century distance learning equipment to this facility, but you will have identically the same equipment here at the high school for Marlboro County high school students. And this equipment follows the teacher around the room, and it will allow teachers from Marlboro County to shoot to the college campus. So not only will we be able to shoot classes into you, but we'll be able to use resources that you have at your college to shoot classes back out of your district. Because we have other districts that would like to shoot things in to help you keep your costs low. And in exchange, they want you to shoot some of the good things you guys do here to them so they can bring more opportunities to their community. One of the keys to the shared resource, and we're going to get more in detail into it, but on the surface, we're reducing the barrier of what it costs students to go to college. And that's what this important piece is. The lowest tuition rate that a student will pay will be $85 a credit hour.
Wow, that's great. That's great.
Fantastic.
And that's where we're at on where we're going with this. And this building will be accessible to high school students day and night. They can come over and take classes here, or we can take classes right here at the high school. We want to leverage both resources and make it as convenient to the high school students as possible. And in this building, everything that you see in phase one completely replaces the square footage and adds 6,000 more square footage than what we have in the downtown location right now. On top of this, we still have over 30,000 square feet to develop that we're already working on funding for, and we have a 5-acre parking lot to also do other programs. So we're very excited about this opportunity to be in this building. Phase one funding has been approved, and we just cleared CHE approval last week after I went down and testified with them, and the only thing that we're pending right now is the approval from the Budget Control Board to go ahead and authorize us to go out to bid on the project. So our target date is we should be out to bid, if everything goes right, around the middle of October, and we hope to be receiving bids then after October and start construction as soon as possible. We want to do construction over the winter months because we think we'll get better bids and we'll get more construction contracts bidding the project. The other big factor on this is that this building already met earthquake requirements, met hurricane requirements, and it met all of the asbestos requirements. So it tremendously reduced the cost of going into this building. And that's why we were allowed to scale up from 8,000 square feet to 14,600 square feet of space. It's also allowed us more money to come in with a nicer welding shop. And phase one, the welding shop, is going to have brand new booths in it. We have designed a new booth that we're having custom made. Douglas Machining out in Pageland builds the booth for us, and it's got glass, so if you want to come watch the students weld, you can literally walk down between the booths and look into the booth and see the students welding. So it'll be a very interactive campus. There's going to be lots of glass, so you'll be able to see in and see what the students are doing in this building. We want it to be very transparent and very modern with an industrial twist to it, because this campus is going to focus on industrial training, but one step beyond. And that is going to be a full-blown campus. We've submitted it for SAC's approval as it being a college campus. And what that means over a training center is full services will be there. Students can go there and get financial aid help. They can go there and see an advisor. They can go there and get all the services that they would at the Sherrall campus. And that's to allow them to do that so they overcome that barrier if they don't have transportation. And that's one thing that we're really doing as a college, is identifying barriers, talking to students, finding out what the barriers are, and constantly trying to address and cover those barriers. And that's the exciting part that we're going to go into now, which is the numbers. In 2016, last year, we had 19 students from Marlboro County taking dual enrollment. The fall of 2017, we have 75 enrolled this semester. And for the spring 2018, we've already got on the list for the classes, because our schedule's coming out here in about 30 days. 115 signed up to start dual enrollment at Marlboro High School. That is a huge, huge accomplishment. But the bigger piece that I want to talk about is the second piece that Dr. Bunch is going to talk about, and I'm going to start hinting a little bit toward it. But our projection for 2014, with just the change, not counting these students, with the next additional program that we're rolling out here, you would have 320 students just based in this second program on top of the program that we're already currently doing. So if you multiply those numbers, it would be somewhere around 500 students. And that's tremendous whenever you look at your overall enrollment. Like I said, when I first got to Northeastern Technical College, my goal was that 90% of students in our high schools would take a college course before they graduate from high school. And this is how we make this happen. And I cannot thank you guys enough for allowing us the opportunity to come into your high school and start working with your teachers and start looking at the opportunity of how we can leverage your resources to bring more opportunities to your students here in Marlboro County. And we're doing that in all 10 of our high schools, and now the high schools are talking about how do we share between the high schools, outside the school district, within their own school district. And that's going to bring more opportunity for students to take more classes at Marlboro County, because now you're going to have the depth of the whole service area to help service these students. Just for a little bragging points here, since the promotion and all the talk we've had in the community about the Winn-Dixie building and everything, I just kind of want to share with the numbers, because this is fascinating. Bennettsville, the town of Bennettsville, students with an address in Bennettsville have 284 students now attending Northeastern Technical College. In McCall, 60 students are enrolled. Wallace, 26, Clio, 14, and Blenheim has 8. That's 392 students now that are residents of Marlboro County attending Northeastern Technical College. And I can't thank the community enough for that and the support to help us get that. Are we done? No. I want to see that number by 7 times that. I would love to see that number at 2,000. So, and we're very aggressively marketing and working with students and increasing and adding more resources in the community to help bring that number up. We now have full-time recruiters in the community working with students, and we also have people assigned to the high school to work directly with students to get them over to the college and start taking courses that work with your advisors and your counselors here at your high school. This is all part of a big master plan conspiracy that we cooked up when I first got here, and it's called the 2022 plan, and that's our dual enrollment, dual education program. And our goal is to have 2,000 high school students participating in the dual enrollment program by the year 2022. And that 90% of the area high schools, at our 10 high schools, when the students graduate, they've at least taken one course before they graduate. And the bigger goal that I really want to focus on is 220 students will walk across your stage with your high school diploma, and they'll walk across stage with an associate's degree from Northeastern Technical College. And to tell you the truth, with the support that we've got from some local people in the community through our foundation, that number will probably be pretty realistic just for Marlboro County.
Yes, I think so.
We're very excited about the program we're going to talk about tonight that supports this. So let's talk about how we fund this. I hinted a little bit about the shared resource model, and it allows us to reduce our tuition rate to $85 a credit hour. Just to give you an idea, last year, Northeastern Technical College, we had about 112 students total in our service area attending dual enrollment. And under the old plan and under the South Carolina way they've done it in the past, I'm getting used to that term, we had to write off tuition, which means that even if we shot it into your school, we couldn't account that you were providing the facility. And so then we wrote the tuition off because we did not have a graduated tuition rate to consider those costs. And I had to write off $116,000 a semester to have 112 students engaged at the college. This semester, I'm proud to say that we're close to 300, and we think by spring semester we're going to be close to 400. And guess how much money I've wrote off this semester? Not a dime.
All right, good.
And that allows me now to drill that money into scholarships and to other things to recognize students for their achievement. If they go through an honors and they go through a leadership program, please tell me about it. I want to honor those students at the college, and we can put them into a pool of students, do a drawing, and give them a scholarship that will help to offset their cost. Because I can, now that I have that money free, I want to drill it into scholarships for more students to have the opportunity to come to college. So if you have events like that and you would like to talk to us about that, we are 100% behind that, and send that to my office. And we would love to talk to you about that. The other thing that we want to talk about, so that's the first piece. The second piece is the NETC Foundation. The NETC Foundation, when I got here, was just clicking along and wasn't very active. It's became very active. And under the pamphlet that I gave you, and anybody in the audience that would like that, we are taking donations. And we had some individuals in the community come up, and they funded this new project. They donated $61,000 through our Jumpstart NETC Young Scholars Program to sponsor 80 students to start college in a soft start program. And Dr. Bunch is going to talk more about that, but that's the piece that the foundation brings to the table, is funding that's not available through the state, funding that's not available through the foundation, through the federal government or any other source. The foundation comes in and creates designated funds that are earmarked only for a certain purpose. This $61,000 is only earmarked to help these 80 students be successful in college and get a jump start in the 9th grade or the 10th grade this year. Our main focus is, as we accelerate this into the next year or so, it'll focus totally on 9th graders. But we wanted to do in 10th grade so we get them ready to start the dual enrollment in 11th grade, so that way there was no students missing the 10th. So we split it 40-40 to help do that. And we had a fall start and a spring start, so we could do a nice beta test. And the principal at the high school and the superintendent worked with us very closely. They set the criteria, and it was a very successful program. And Dr. Bunch will talk more about how that happened. Lottery tuition is the second one that I want to talk about, and then the third one is experimental Pell. And experimental Pell was one of the only institutions. There was one other institution in South Carolina that was awarded from the federal government to do an experimental Pell, and I'll talk a little bit about what that means. Hope that's not me.
On the tuition, the 85 per credit hour, are the Pels going to apply?
Yes. Yes, they do. So the Yes to Success is the campaign that I put in your packet, and it's part of the Jumpstart program, and like I said, it's earmarked only for students in Bennettsville, Marlboro County, going to high school at Marlboro High School, and that money is help for them, and it helps offset that soft start in the 9th and 10th grade to get them started. In the service area, lottery scholarships. There's a lot of confusion around lottery scholarships. So we went to the lottery and we pulled some data. In the Chesterfield, Dillon County, and Marlboro County, since 2002, $51 million has been awarded to scholarships in our 3 counties. 39,155 students have benefited from lottery funds helping students go to college. So the lottery is very much an education fund. And just for Marlboro County alone, if you look up there, Marlboro County is the yellow. 11,315 students that live in Marlboro County have benefited from lottery funds to go to college since 2002. And that's a great thing to say, because these are students that might not have been able to go to college because they didn't have funding. And the lottery stepped in and did that. In the lottery fund, it's kind of interesting because there's actually 5 different scholarships available to students. The first one is geared only for 4-year institutions, and you have to be within 6% of your class ranking. You have to have a 3.5 GPA average. There's no way I would even qualify for that one. I had a 1.8 graduating, so that's not going to happen. Then there's the life scholarship that can work for 4-year colleges or 2-year colleges, and you have to be in the top 30%, and you have to be a 3.0 cumulative grade point average, and you have to score 1,100 on the SAT. I probably still couldn't score 1,100 on the SAT. So that's another one there, and my hat's off to any student that can do that. And then you have the Hope Scholarship, which is additional money that helps when they receive those two. So if you're going to go to Clemson, it costs more than what the lottery can provide you. So here's a second opportunity for you to get funding to help offset those costs. And then you have the state needs-based grant, which students at Northeastern Technical College can apply for, and that means that they have to apply for financial aid, and it's determined that they're needy and their needs are greater than financial aid can assist them. And then it comes in as a stopgap to take off where Pell stops and allows them to continue to go to college. And there's 2 classes there. You either have to be enrolled in 24 credit hours as a full-time student, or 12 as a part-time student over a 2-semester period to get those funds. And you have to have a 2.0. It's getting closer to what I could qualify for. And then the last area is the lottery tuition assistance. This is the one that we tap. It's only used by 2-year institutions. 4-year institutions do not get this, and you want to talk with your legislators, and I talk to them quite often, and Pat Hennigan is awesome to work with, and so is Gerald Lloyd. You guys need to talk to them, because there's a big money grab from those other 2 at the top there that want that money. And what we want to do is we want to keep that money, because that's how these students from high school come to college. And how it works is that they have to enroll in 6 credit hours per semester. They have to have a 2.0 after they complete 24 hours. So that means you get to do 24 hours to prove that you can do a 2.0. I could probably live with that one. And then you have to do academic progress toward a degree, a certificate, or a diploma. And that's why it's important that we work with the schools and align what they're doing with a degree, a diploma, or a certificate, because then that makes the funding available for the shared resource model. And you can't be a recipient of the Life or the Paramedical Scholarship. You can't be a recipient for that. So this is only geared to this student body. And there is no lifetime on it. It's limited by the degree you're seeking. And it's another one, if I do a certificate in, say, CNA, and I want to go on and get an LPN, it still works. I get to go for more money. If I finish my LPN and 4 years from now I decide I want to be an RN, I can use the money to go for my AAS for an RN. So because as long as I stay in that career path that I chose, I can continue to tap that money as I continue through my degree plans. And I just declare the next degree and I move on to my next one, and the funding's available for me to do that. And it does assist up to 12 credit hours per semester. So 6 is just the minimum, and it goes up to 12. And that's about $85 to $95 a credit hour is what it assists you with. So depending on the tuition rate you have at your college and some other factors, it'll pay up to $95 for those 12 credit hours for a student to attend college. Okay, so that's the fund that we tap that's earmarked only for two-year colleges to use for them to be successful in certificates, diplomas, and degrees. And the idea is start intervening with those students, talking to them about their career path and what their interests are, and then start getting them tracked into the right degree so the certificates and the diplomas that they're doing in high school track that, and they continue to use this money all the way through till they graduate the two-year college. Okay? And I also want to point out those first three only count after you graduate from high school. They are not money that a student can touch while they're a high school student. The lottery tuition assistance, they can. The needs-based grant, they can in the summertime whenever they're using Pell to pay for classes. Okay, experimental Pell. Okay, like I said earlier, the Department of Education selected NETC to participate. We're the only two-year college in South Carolina that got to experiment with this program. And it's to look at, is there the goal of the grant is to make Pell funds available before they receive their high school diploma to see if there's a need there that students are not coming to college because financial issues are the problem. So we have three ways now to deal with financial issues. We have our foundation, we have lottery that's earmarked money only for the two-year colleges to use, and we have experimental Pell that we can have students tap. And under that program, you get 6 years of award when you enter into the Pell. And when you enter through the experimental Pell, the 6 years start clicking. But it doesn't start clicking dollar for dollar or year for year. How it works is if a student starts taking the soft entry of 3 classes in the fall and the 3 classes in the spring as a freshman, and the sophomore year they take 2 and 2, okay, and they use Pell, we're not talking lottery, they use Pell. Their junior year they do 2 classes and 2 classes, which is 6 credit hours each. Their senior year, they do 2 classes each, 6 and 6. They would have completed 42 credit hours of a 60 credit hour program. And if they use Pell for all 4 of those years to do this, they would have only used 1.4 years of their 6-year Pell.
Wow.
So if a student would take 2 classes in the summer on each one of those summers, they would graduate high school with an associate's degree from Northeastern Technical College to transfer, and they would have completed 60 hours during that high school track, and they would have only used 2 years of their 6-year award, which means they're halfway done with the bachelor's when they transfer to the bachelor's. So theoretically, they should only have 2 years left, but they got 4 years of money. So this is why it's important that students start this program as early as possible, because it doesn't count year for year. Because now they can experiment more. They can take classes to learn about things. Because the timetable is working a lot slower at that level than it is when they come to my institution. Because I'm racing the clock. Because they only get 6 years to get through me and a 4-year college.
So what you're basically saying is our 8th graders should be getting this presentation to them with their parents so they will know in the 9th grade they need to get started.
Dr. Bunch is going to go more into that.
That's basically what you're saying. It sounds like me.
My goal is when you come a 9th grader here, you're starting college.
Yeah, okay.
And we have a soft start program that allows that to happen. And Dr. Bunch will get more into how we're going to make that happen. And we're going to open it up for questions too. And we want to, any question you have, please ask it. Because we want to make sure that there's full understanding of what we're doing here. The second piece that we're doing at Northeastern Technical College is I've set down the rule at the college that all of our AA, AS, and our AAS degrees will transfer to a university. And we're limiting them to 64 credit hours. So there'll be that first 2 years when they transfer. And even an AAS degree traditionally is a terminal degree. When they finish this program, even starting in the 9th grade, and they become a welder, and they get their AAS degree from us as a welder in the industry, they would have 24 credit hours, would transfer to a 4-year degree and become a lawyer if they want to. It doesn't even have those 24 credit hours are general education credit hours that will transfer to any 4-year institution in the state of South Carolina, and will transfer to most all 4-year universities anywhere in the United States. And we're doing that with even our workforce courses. And we're doing some real innovative things that we're going to come back and talk to you later about at a future date as we start innovating that to help students be successful in English 101, speech, college algebra, and that. And we believe so into this that we made it part of our SACS accreditation standard the next 5 years, that we're going to accelerate math to all of our students so they don't get stuck in that development math cycle that most students get stuck and become frustrated and drop out of college. We have made that a performance indicator of our accreditation standard to make sure that we hold ourselves accountable, that we're going to accelerate that math experience and get these students through college algebra. And now I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Bunch.
Thank you, Dr. Wagner.
And in your packet, just real quick, the foundation information is right here, and you'll see it listed on there, the Northeastern Scholarship Fund. And right there, I always got to plug this, it says it's for this program that he's going to talk about, and $1 makes a difference.
Mr. Wagner, before you leave, the children have been concerned when they take courses that they don't transfer. Many don't, and I heard you say you're working on that, and that's great. But you also indicated they could take 64 hours and would be able to transfer 24 hours.
Yes.
Because those are the core subjects.
Yes. What we've done is we went into our curriculum and we've identified what we call the academic core. And the academic core, we've classified that into competencies. And we have an we have a communication competency, and we've identified 3 courses that meet that competency for that degree, and it's English 101, English 102, and speech. For the AAS degree, they have to take one of those 3. Okay? And what will happen then, that transfers to any college. We've now got a mathematics competency, and we've identified, I think, 9 math classes that meet that competency that transfers to any university. We've done the same thing with social science. We've done the same thing with humanities. We've done the same thing with the computer competency requirement. That's for the AAS. In the AA and AS, we've lined it exactly the same way. So you see the parallel. So theoretically, if a student starts in the 9th grade taking a college course in the program that Dr. Bunch is going to talk about, what's going to happen is that course that they take in the 9th grade meets one of those competencies, whether they choose to go into workforce or they choose to go into transfer when they become 11th graders. So they don't make the decision on whether they're going to be a workforce student or a transfer student until they complete the 10th grade. And then that's when they make that determination. So all the courses they do prior to that in the 9th and 10th grade is designed to be transfer students, whichever choice that they make, and is acceptable in both programs. And if a student stops at that point and says, hey, I want to play my junior and senior year, we'll have a certificate designed that will award them a certificate that recognizes that they finished those 21 credit hours for that competency for transfer. Okay? Dr. Bunch.
Thank you for having us tonight. I want to share with you the Young Scholars Program. This is the brand new program that we brought to Marlboro County High School for our 9th and 10th graders. This is a project between Marlboro County School District and Northeastern Technical College and area foundations. Very important here, this costs you absolutely no money. okay? This costs you nothing extra. Whatever you had budgeted for the 2017-18 year, this new program is costing you no money. It's designed to provide a high school student with a soft start to college. Many of our students, when they graduate college, whether they go to a 2-year or 4-year college, struggle. They're seeing a syllabus for the first time. They're going to Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes for the first time. The syllabus said there's a test on the 14th, and I did not remind you on the 12th because it said on the syllabus. We want to train students on how to enter school, college, in the safety of your high school, with teachers that you know, and also with the support of your parents. We also do a great training, I believe, with our parents as well, helping them understand their responsibilities for a college-age child. And that begins now in the 9th grade with our students and for our 10th graders in the Soft Start program. In the 21st century, the need to prepare students for success in college and career, it cannot be understated. 70% of all jobs by 2022, that's why Dr. Wagner has this number, 70% of all jobs will require some type of 2-year or 4-year degree to get into that job. We have a job to do as a high school, as a district, as a college program here. This program assists our students in acquiring high-level knowledge and skills to face the challenges of competing in a global marketplace. When Mr. Bozarth comes up, he's going to talk to you about that. He's going to talk about the global economy that we are now in Little Marlboro County. And we want to better assist our students in competing in that program. And I do want to share with you again, the Love Foundation is supporting us wonderfully with getting this Young Scholars Program started. Behind you, you see a pie graph there of just the number of students. This is a national number of students, demographics in early college, very close to what we have as well. And the purpose of the Young Scholars Program, I want to share this with you. It boosts the confidence of our students to ensure collegiate success. Our teachers work very closely with the students. We work very closely with the teacher. It's not uncommon to see someone from NETC at this school 2-3 times a week working with our new teachers and with our existing teachers and getting our students on the path to success. The worst thing that can happen is for a 9th grade student to bomb the class at the very beginning. We even teach a student how to drop a class. Very important skill. You're looking at a person that should have dropped out or dropped out correctly the first time he went. It took me 1.5 years to get out of the hole I created the first time I went. Very important that early success starts with our students. Begins college in the comfort of the high school environment. Already the students are around their friends, they're with their family, with teachers they know. We use credentialed high school instructors to teach the collegiate programs. Again, these are existing teachers that you already have with students who will already be sitting in the class. It costs you no extra money to do this program. We have one college course per semester for the 9th grade and for the 10th grade, so they're taking one in the fall. We have 9th graders taking Art 101, we have 10th graders taking Art 101, and we have 9th graders taking Computer 101. They will switch and then we'll move over. Dr. Wagner spoke of another group of students, 40 students. We'll start them in January, a whole nother cohort of students as well with this funding that we have. The research shows that we increase high school graduation rates when students start college early. We expand the academic options for high school students that are planning to attend NETC or another 4-year institution. We reduce the duplicate courses, and this is really important, folks. When a student takes certain English classes, if you remember when you were in college, take certain classes, that freshman year it was the same class, almost. So why not get a high school credit and a college credit for the same class and reduce the duplicate courses there? We have faster completion for advanced studies for a bachelor's degree or a technical degree. We have quicker access to the workforce for our students. They actually will graduate college at a much earlier time. They can go to the workforce earlier if they choose to do so. And this is really important for our community. We all live in this community. This is my hometown, as you know. And I love this one. This is a significant savings for all of our students. Dr. Wagner's given you a very in-depth study and information about how this pays for the college program at little to no cost for parents. Whether they're choosing to do a 2-year or 4-year degree, however much they could complete, it reduces the amount of time in the 2-year or the 4-year institution that they choose to go to. The Shared Resource Dual Education Program, this is very important. It includes both dual credit and dual education offerings. Very quickly about that, dual credit means you get a high school credit and a college credit. Very important that students understand that and parents understand that. For dual credit, high school credit and college credit. The other one's called dual education, where you only get a college course for credit for that one, okay? So one is you get credit toward your high school diploma and a college degree, and then the other is just for their college degree. We spend a lot of time with all of our guidance counselors, training them, teaching them, working with our students and our parents, ensuring that we are completers in the CAKE program. They're working toward our graduation, and we're also completing the college program correctly. And we help parents and students understand that very thoroughly. We partnership with Marlboro County High School that allows the high school and NETC to share resources. You're already heating and cooling this building. You're already putting teachers in this building, buying equipment. We're using existing equipment that you're already purchasing and using it toward getting a college degree for our students. We also will be sending to you, through the grant that Dr. Wagner spoke about, equipment that allows us to send and receive equipment to one another so we can share resources not only between NETC and Marlboro County, but also Chesterfield County and Dillon County as well. It allows us a tier tuition base and get it down at $85 per credit hour, which is very significant. Compare that to any 2-year and 4-year institution across the state. That is very, very inexpensive for our parents. And then the programs and courses will be leveraged with current high school budgeted offerings as well. You look behind you, if you want to see this, this is what a student will see when they go on the website. They'll see the courses that are offered. Starting in October, you'll see spring courses up there. Students will be able to see what's being taught at Marlboro County High School in the spring. Guidance counselors can begin the process of getting the schedules ready, but they'll also see, this is exciting, what's going on in the other counties as well. And eventually, when we have the shared systems where we can send signals to one another, it increases the opportunities for students to take classes that they might not be able to take because we don't have teachers here or other teachers in other areas, okay? It's very important. Future partnership, this is really important. We're going to expand the distant learning class offerings. What that means is we struggle here in Marlboro County trying to find certain science or math teachers, but you know what? There might be one over in Pageland. There might be one over in Lakeview. If they're teaching that class, distance learning, they send that signal to us, our kids take that class. We also might be able to send that signal to NETC as well. So we're going to expand the class offerings that students are able to take, make it a more collegiate opportunity. If you remember, in a lot of your jobs right now, you do distance learning at your jobs. You don't fly all over the place for trainings now. They send the signal to you. This prepares our students better for the workforce that they're getting into. We'll have a very in-depth look at the CAKE classes for dual enrollment. Met with Mr. Black already. We're talking about what classes that he currently has can provide dual enrollment opportunities for our students that you currently have. Nothing new, but what you currently have. And the students, we are very excited about this, can graduate with an associate degree or very close to it. Northeastern Technical College and Marlboro County Schools have committed to demonstrating that early college designs can serve as a comprehensive transformational strategy for rural districts. That's us. Along the way, the significance of leadership and the importance of leadership development as an integral component of the system change has become evident for us. The leadership lessons learned will continue to strengthen efforts in our service area and across the state as districts turn their focus for creating more early college programs. People will begin looking at Marlboro County as to how they can create their own college program and how they do it without costing the district any money. I want to leave this with you as Ms. Little, are you here with your student? I'm going to ask Ms. Little, one of our teachers and one of the students, I want you to see the faces of the program. And I want to share this with you as they come up. Arthur Schlesinger wrote in a book about Teddy Roosevelt and about leadership. And he likened leaders to being a captain of a boat or captain of a ship. And he said, good leaders can always find the port for their good ship. But great leaders, for their great ship, find ports that are worthy of being located. This program is very worthy for your consideration. It's very worthy for your support. It's very worthy for our students. I'm going to ask Ms. Little and your student, if you will, to come on up. I want you to see that you've got high school teachers now teaching college classes. You've got 9th grade students, 10th grade students already in college. Dr. Wagner has shared with you what he believes will be an institution that will transform our area, which is the new Marlboro County campus. I've shared with you the Young Scholars Program, which I believe will be transformational for our students as well. Students, if you come to introduce yourself, tell them what you're taking, and very quickly say hello.
Hi, my name is Kaori Hicks. I'm a freshman at Marlboro County High School, and I was chosen to be a part of the NETC Young Scholars Program. This opportunity is beneficial mainly because it's free college. It's not only beneficial to me, but to my peers. They asked me, like, how can they be a part of the program? My teacher is amazing. She's not only teaching us what we need to know about college, but other things like tips about teachers and how they act towards certain students. This was a fascinating opportunity for me, and I'm genuinely honored to have been picked for this program, and I have a chance to advance my education.
Tell them where you went to middle school. Tell them where you went to middle school.
I went to School of Discovery.
Right flag, there you go.
Hello, I'm Carly Harp. I'm a sophomore at the high school. I've actually been to quite a few middle schools: Wallace, McCall, Hillcrest, and Simpsonville, South Carolina. I'm taking Art 101 this semester, and first of all, I'm very honored to be a part of this program, and after speaking with my peers, we have all came to agreement that the program is going very well. Our teachers are amazing, and we're all just thankful to be a part of this advantageous program. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is LaVonda Stubbs, and I went to middle school at School Discovery. This semester I'm taking Computer 101. It's a pretty good course. But it's a good opportunity, I think. And I'm hoping that I can graduate high school with an associate's degree, so I can just transfer to another college. And Miss Little, she a good teacher. She help us understand. She really help us understand, and she be giving us a lot of tips and stuff. It's a good class.
Miss Little teaches the computer course, and Miss Robine is our art teacher. So thank you very much. I appreciate you coming tonight. Thank you very much, students. I appreciate it. Before Mr. Bozar comes up, any questions for me or Mr. Wagner as he closes and we move on? Mr. Branch.
I know you said this a couple of times, but how much is this costing our district?
It costs you absolutely nothing, okay? The other exciting part about this, and I didn't share this with you, but I'm glad you asked this question. The district actually receives, and around the different areas it varies a little bit, but it can be up to $370 per student that you actually receive. And if you roll that out to just say 320 kids in the program, that's about $108,000 coming back to the district from the state. If that money is drilled back into the program, that actually lowers the cost. Very important here is we don't get any extra money for this. The tuition is the tuition, okay? Our goal and desire for all of this is to start the students earlier, to access these monies, and then get this cost as cheap as possible, is inexpensive for our community, and get more kids in college. If you want to transform the district, have an educated, trained workforce for these industries that want to come in our area, this program does it. So thank you.
Well, I got one more thing, and I'm excited about this. It really am a good opportunity for our kids, for our county. What can we do to help with this transition? Is there any obstacles you're facing that we can help with?
Probably the biggest obstacle is just misinformation, okay? The fear that lottery money is going to run out, that Pell money is going to run out. That's a question that Dr. Wagner has explained to you here. It can't run out if it's used the way it's designed here to be used correctly. Any question about that needs to be directed to us. We'd be glad to spend as much time with a parent or a community member or whoever that needs to have that information. This money is designed to get students that would not be able to go to college into college sooner. This program allows us to help students start sooner and learn how to go to college. In the PD region, not just Marlboro County, but PD as a whole, 90% of our students come from homes with little to no college background. And so they don't have people at home to talk with, how do I go to college? As you heard the student saying, yeah, my teacher's pretty good. Well, she's pretty good because she's teaching you how to go to school. and you understand the importance now of college. And then we start talking to 7th and 8th graders about that program. We start talking to parents then and the students then about the importance of getting your grades up in the 7th and 8th grade so you can qualify to get into these programs that are going to be here at this school. Thank you, Mr. Branch. Yes, sir, Mr. Driggers.
Two questions. What you just emphasized there about the 7th and 8th grade programs.
Yes, sir.
Are you willing to come back and present things to the 7th and 8th grade parents if we could get something together like at the different middle schools?
Most certainly, yes, sir.
Because that would be a big plus for us, I think, for them to understand exactly what you're saying. And it's real important for the students, but it's more important for the parent to understand what
You're exactly right. And the answer is yes, sir. We have hired 2 people, one for the Chesterfield County area, and then Ms. Stamey, who is from Bennettsville, will work with Marlboro County and Dillon schools to do just that, as well as Dr. Wagner, myself, and others who will go to parent nights or any program to share with the parents how to get ready in the 7th and 8th grade for college. Yes, sir.
Okay, and my other question is, you mentioned something about the distant learning classrooms.
Yes, sir.
Make sure I'm understanding what you're saying. I've got a science class that for some reason Marlboro County cannot find a teacher for it, and you're saying Latta may have one. There's going to be an opportunity that those kids that need that class can use that distant learning classroom and get that
That is correct. Yes, sir.
taken
Yes,
care
sir.
of,
Yes, sir.
even if I don't have a teacher here to teach them. Is that what
Yes,
I'm
sir,
understanding?
that's correct. And actually, Marlboro County right now will have 2 of those, one in a large classroom when you have got large numbers of students, and an assistant would go in there because you have to have an assistant in there. And then the other would be in an area like in the media center somewhere where there's already some people, 4 or 5, 2 students want to take the class.
Okay.
And so they can take a class and also be in an area where they're observed by the folks that are already here. But yes, sir, the idea is to share the resources. We can't find, Marlboro County can't always have enough teachers to teach it, but the other counties can help us with that. Yes, sir.
And one thing I want to add to that is the tuition for your student to take a class from Dillon High School will still be $85.
Still the same way.
It's their resource that we shared, and the exchange is they're looking for a resource that you would share with them. And that's one of the things that we're really stressing with the high schools is that there's great things going on in Marlboro County that we can share back. And and if we can align that to college credit, then that allows you that opportunity to share those classes back. And there's one more thing I want to point out here is, remember, I talked about the lottery. The lottery is $95 a credit hour currently, okay? Remember, our entry-level tuition's $85. You can draw your own conclusion there. So for the impact for the student financially, there is very little financial impact on that whenever we do the shared resource model. And that's the idea, is every student, no matter what their economic status is, they can come take this class. And there's funding available for that to happen.
You're painting a very nice picture.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. Other questions before I sit down and Mr. Bozard comes up to finish the yes, ma'am.
Quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Oh, sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lane, for bringing them to us and opening.
And I can't say enough about that. We shared it with him, and he just said, go, 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 go. It was wonderful.
I just want to emphasize.
So thank you, Dr. Lane.
Open doors,
And if
wonderful.
I might add, I've spoken with a few friends I've got at the Commission on Higher Ed, and they've fully endorsed this concept, so thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lane. Appreciate it. Thank you.
The question has to
Yes.
do with money.
Yes.
If we offer a course for students and we have our kids take from somebody else, can we get a wash on the tuition?
Okay, the wash would be, is let's just say if our teacher is teaching the class, and let's just say the teacher's teaching and there's a class of 10 or 15 in there, it would be at no cost to our students. The payment would be for the students taking the distance learning. So we've got it tiered to where if our teachers are teaching it live, it should be at no cost to students because we're sharing your resources, okay? If another resource has to come in, it does move the price a little bit, okay? So we've got on the website right now, if you'd like to see those different scenarios of one teacher live, one teacher on our campus, or distance learning or online, all the scenarios are that it shows you the cost for the students.
The issue of transportation for our rural children.
Yes.
Of course, we can take this virtually and all of that, but we will need to talk to you about that another time, not right now, especially the kids in Blenheim and some of the other areas are going to need some transportation. And he mentioned that there were some costs for transportation, so I just want to emphasize
Certainly.
it's going to be key to what
Certainly.
we do for our kids.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms.
very
Onajian. I
much.
appreciate it. Thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Bozard.
Welcome, Mr. Bozard.
Well, thank you very much, Chairman Parsons, and the rest of you for allowing me to come back. more pleasant subject tonight. We want to talk a little bit about the community involvement with Northeastern Tech and what we see as the future. And the first thing I want to do is recognize these four individuals you see behind you. These are individuals that serve on the Board of Commissioners of Northeastern Technical College, and they represent you as Marlboro County. And on my left, and your right, well, my left, is Herbert Gould. Herbert has been on our board for a number of years, and he's actually serving as vice chair. Herbert is, I believe, just here, right on the back. Also, Mr. Tom Parr has been on our board a number of years. Tom is involved in manufacturing here in Marlboro County, and Tom is with us back on this tonight. Newly joining us on the board is Dr. John Lane, and we're delighted to have him on this board, and he will bring insight as far as you are concerned to what we need to be doing to help you. And the latest member to join us is Dr. Mia Cole. Mia is actually in Wallace and has retired from the upper state, New York, I believe, and has returned here, and she's our new representative also. So these are the four people that, as you see in the community, and I speak to the community on this in addition to the board, they are the folks that are the channel to get information back and forth to us. And I would encourage you to talk to these folks about what you need, and I'll talk about that just a little bit. There's two other people in this audience tonight I want to introduce, and I think one is not here. Mr. Phil Harmon, who lives in Bennettsville, is on the State Board of Technical Education. He represents the 7th Congressional District, and he's very vital to us. And we also have somebody in the audience that we rely on an awful lot, because a lot of things take place in Columbia, and we need help. And I want to recognize Representative Pat Hennigan. Pat? I don't want her job, but I'm sure glad she's there. Let's talk a little bit about what we think is going to take place in Marlboro County. And I'm supposed to, who's got the, oh, there we go. Okay, folks, this is the Winn-Dixie building. What do you think?
Wow. It looks pretty good.
Okay, Dr. Wagner talked about first phase. This is what we want to get done pretty darn quick. And it certainly doesn't look like a Winn-Dixie building, but it looks like something that you will be very happy to take your friends and relatives, and I think our students in Marlboro County will be very happy attending a campus that looks like this. Now, let's talk a little bit about, we talked about phase one, Dr. Wagner's talked about that, phase two. And Pat, I'm glad you're here tonight. We want to go after phase two pretty quick. And we are asking for $2.5 million to continue developing what you see on the board in the 2018-2019 state budget. The House and Senate reconvenes in January. They already have these figures in front of them. Hopefully by June 30th of 2018, which is not too far away, we have approval and the governor signed the budget, and we have the money to start phase two as soon as we get through with phase one. We are very fortunate that we, as a smaller counties, have a great delegation that works with us on funding. And I cannot say enough about Representative Hennigan and also Senator Malloy. They are very supportive. We also get some support from Representative Hayes. He's got a little part, I believe, McCall, I believe, in this area, and Senator Williams. Additionally, from the Chesterfield area, Senator Richie Yao and Senator Shaheen. And surprisingly, over in Marion County, Representative Atkinson has got a little part of Lato in Dillon, South Carolina. Representative Lucas, who is from Darlington County, who's the Speaker of the House, actually has a little bit of our territory also. And Senator Henry down at Horry also has a little part of Dillon County around Lakeview in that area. They all support what we're doing. We're one of the smaller schools. And it's a real pleasure to deal with these House members and Senate members when they realize, you know, we're fighting the Greenvilles and the Richland counties and the Charleston counties for all this activity. There's no reason why it can't come to the PD. And I'm not going to talk about Marlboro and Dillon and Chesterfield. I'm going to call it the PD. Because, truthfully, the Inland Port ought to have been called the PD Inland Port. But I'm not going to get involved in an argument on that. In this second phase, one of the things that I'm really interested in, this is going to be a true campus setting. One of the things I'm excited about, Dr. Wagner talked a little bit about, is an incubator center. Say you have a company that decides to locate in Marlboro County, and they're going to do a special process for Boeing in Charleston. They're going to have to put up a plant. What we can do with the 18,000 square feet in the middle of this building is they can come in and start training their workers before the building is completed. And then, when the building is completed, they simply transfer out of our space and go to work or whatever that facility might be doing. I've also thought about something coming over here. Everybody's got a favorite aunt that has the best peach preserves in the world. If I could only figure out a way to sell it to Cracker Barrel, you know? Well, we can do it in an incubator situation where they can do a test kitchen and learn all the ropes about how you market, how you meet all the requirements and all like that. That's what that incubator system is all about. In the future, as soon as we get funding on this phase 2, we're looking at diesel mechanics because of the inland port. Trucks are going to be coming out of that port. We're looking at advanced manufacturing, electrical engineering, business and entrepreneurial training, practical jobs, CDL training, forklift training, heavy equipment operator training. All those things can take place at this beautiful campus that we're going to have. We solicit your ideas. You've already seen we want to work on the academic end, but we also want to work on the training end to get our young people, and not only young people, but people that may be in transitions, trained to do a better job. I'm going to leave you with just one comment, and I think you've seen part of this tonight. We are one of the smallest technical colleges in the state of South Carolina, but I can guarantee you we're the most aggressive. We can get a lot done working together, and I thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Before you leave, all of this stuff you're speaking of, diesel, forklift, all that is going to be offered dual.
Yes, sir, it could be. Yes, sir, it could be. So now, these are the academic guys here. I'm not. Yes, that could be dual credit. And that would be...
I came through the 70s, so I know what a vocational school is. So it sounds like to me we're talking something very similar, maybe a glorified vocational school with some of the things that can be done. Will you be offering anything else? When I came through, I know you said electricity, but when I came through, there was masons offered, there was carpentry work, there was different things, but
we're going to let you as the community dictate what we need to be teaching.
Okay.
Okay, for instance, you've got two employees, or you've got a number of employees, and you've got two people that are very good employees, and you say, I think they have the capability of becoming supervisors. You and I both know that an employee and a supervisor is not the same responsibility. So what we can do is offer you a course, first-time supervisor training. These are the kind of things we're looking at, practical things that we can use in the community. We're open to whatever you need, whatever you need.
Thank you very much.
Do you have any questions for me or a lot more knowledgeable group than me?
Well, one thing I want to add to that is that the supervisor training is a perfect example. That fits into a certificate for management, which now transfers to a four-year institution in a business degree.
Okay.
So the idea is this becomes a true stackable credential. Something you need in the job employment also has academic credit with it that means something to even a four-year institution if that student wants to go on for a bachelor's degree, master's degree, and what they want to do with that. So the key there is that we are opening the door on specialized training, mapping it to college credit, that down the road, if that student wants to use that into advanced degrees, they will have that opportunity to do that. And it starts in the 9th grade.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a transition until after they're out of school and they're 30 years old and wanting a job promotion. It all allows that to happen.
Well, it sounds like a fantastic opportunity for Marlboro County to me, but
Gentlemen, I love the concept of Stephen Covey, win-win. You all give win-win a whole new meaning.
Well,
A whole new meaning.
we have a lot of support.
The enthusiasm you all have is just palpable.
Well, I will be honest with you. I've been on the board about 14 years, and we probably have not been very aggressive. New sheriff in town.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you so much for coming. It's hard to go back just to the regular meeting. Whew. Can you turn the lights back up? Thank you. All right, we need approval of minutes for August 7th, 2017.
I make a motion, we approve the minutes for August 7th, 2017.
Is there a second? Second. Okay. All in favor, please raise your right hand. All opposed? Yeah, which are you? You're with, okay. So it's a unanimous vote? Everyone? Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay. Ms. Morris, it's unanimous. Okay. Next is individuals or groups who wish to appear before the board. And is this Mr. Charles Abraham? I can't read the writing. Who signed up whose first name is Charles? Charles Graham, okay. Couldn't read your writing, I'm sorry. And he wants to speak about BIS.
Good evening, board. Before I get started, if I ask questions, is the board can somebody answer questions even though it's general information? Is it any way somebody can answer just a yes or no for me?
Generally, we just let you speak because it cuts into the 3 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I just want to know, we went on and we had people come out and look at BIS, and now that the school is started up, I was just wondering how many board members had visited BIS and looked at the current situation that we supposedly had fixed before the school year had got started. And not only that, but like I say, the bathroom situations, things that were discussed before and we were told that would be fixed, that's still not fixed. After we went for a while and we put our kids back into the same situation. Another thing is, I grew up in McCall. I know what we did there, and I know how the kids, how we were treated and I was treated there. And Mr. Norton, no disrespect, but with you being on the school board and the former principal, and if BIS was your school in McCall with the 5th grade wing and the current conditions of the 5th grade wing, if that was in McCall, you being the principal that you were, you wouldn't have stood for it. And I asked, with you being the principal that you were and wouldn't put your kids in those situations, I asked that you step back in the principal state of mind and look at the kids and the staff that's on that 5th grade wing, and not even through this session right here, but if you go into executive session and speak from your principal position and allow the board to see what really needs to take place for those 5th graders and for those teachers, so that we really can come to a solution that's really going to fix that situation for those kids and for the staff that's there at BIS. That's my only concern, and that's going to be my only concern until somebody gives me the belief really that it's being worked on. Because Yes, I have district members who represent Bennettsville. Man, sad to say, they don't let me know nothing. So that's why I ask you, as being the former principal, when you go into executive session, even though that may not be on your agenda, do that favor for me, for those kids, and for those teachers that's here, so we can have some belief that something is being done, because we were told that beforehand, and school has started, and it's not being done.
Mr. John Sissom, and he would like to speak on the loss of population and workforce.
Thank you, Dr. Lane, Madam Chairman, and board. We need to see how many of these sharp young students we can get to come back. Now, my report tonight is not negative, it's telling you why we got to help Northeastern Tech. In the 5 years, 2010 to 2015, we lost 1,400 people, while the 4 adjoining counties gained in population. We become the center of a donut when you look at the numbers. We talk about needing jobs, but our industries and prisoners are importing employees from outside our county because they are not available here. The federal prison runs vans from North Carolina and Florence to fill their positions. Our vendors are getting their employees from adjoining counties because our workforce has been unable to perform at acceptable levels on the work keys test. That means they don't even get a chance at the job. Our county is not provided a workforce the industry needs. In order for Marlboro County to prosper and grow and to provide what our industry workforce needs, the only way we can do this is to improve our school district. And we need Northeastern Tech to help us do that. We have to make our students competitive in the job market. We have to provide them with opportunities and exposure to higher education, skills training. Industry won't be entitled to come to Marlboro County if their workforce is not what they're looking for. If we can produce a winning football team, why can't we produce students that can be employed by our industry? The plants that we go to work used to be about 100% Marlboro County. We worked at one today. I didn't see anybody there. One person had been there 10 years ago. They're living somewhere else. And I blame it on schools. But with Northeastern Tech, maybe we can change that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, individual board members' items for the next meeting. Ms. O'Nation?
No, Madam Chairman.
Nothing? Okay. Mr. Woods?
Yes, ma'am. I would like for us to put on the agenda to discuss a school sign for the high school out front.
Okay.
Madam Chairman, I would like an update from Mr. Tim Brown on BIS. I want to put that on there.
Okay.
And Dr. McLeod, I'm sorry, didn't mean to leave that out.
Mr. Norton?
If I could elaborate on Reverend Woods, I would like to look at electronic boards or marquees for all of the schools as well as the high school, just electronic.
Electronic boards, okay. Mr. Driggers?
Speaking of the electrical signs, my understanding is we've already bought one from Blenheim at one point in time. Is that not correct? And it has not been installed yet, correct? So we have one on hand for the Blenheim school to be installed, even though we're 5 or 6 years down the road on the school. But the I'd like to have an update on the athletic fields. It's my understanding that the contractor is finishing up a job and getting ready to move to Blenheim to start some work. Speaking with the contractor, so maybe next month we could get Mr. Brown, Mr. McLeod, or someone to give us an update on that, whether or not they're willing to come in, but an update on the Blenheim athletic fields.
All right, Ms. Bright?
I thought that this meeting we was gonna have some information about BIS. We had talked with Mr. West and that
We'll make sure that's on next meeting.
and they was going to address some of the concerns that Mr. Graham has, you know, but, so I would definitely like for that to be on the next meeting.
Okay. Mr. Branch?
Yeah, previous meetings, we discussed security systems. I'd like an update on where we stand with that.
Mr. Coachman?
Yes, I'd like to discuss the change in bereavement pay for teachers and administration, see if there was any change, and update us on what those changes are, and so that we can get on that, and also the lighting of the fields and the update in the Wallace area.
Lighting for the whole Wallace School?
No, that's the athletic football.
Okay.
And bereavement pay for district.
Okay. Okay. All right, so we have our work cut out for the agenda. Okay. All right, thank you, folks. All right,
Madam
now.
Chair,
Yes,
before we
ma'am.
go on, if I can be so bold,
Yeah.
I would like to say something. You have to excuse me because I'm kind of under the weather today, but I tried to make it out here anyway. The concern that Mr. Graham have is real. I have been out to that school, right, and we have looked at some things, and I know that part of one of the buildings is not being used, you know. So we really do need somebody to come back and give us some information and let us know what we could, what we are doing.
What we are doing and what can be done, and just
right, because it really is an issue. You know, so, you know, if somebody could just come and speak on it, that the parents and the teachers know that we are doing something.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Coachman?
On that same topic, didn't we just spend $86,000 to have all the things corrected there?
We spent $86,000 to clean it, and we've now ordered the barred units to replace those units that are heating, cooling. At least I've looked into that, and I've been out there. The cleaning is pretty good, but we need those units, and we need a lot more. We need a roof, and apparently there are roofing contractors that are scheduled to come, Janice, but I don't think they've been there yet.
Right.
And that's part of the problem. They were all tied up before the start of school, but I've been out there 4 times. And if we don't stop the water, we will still have problems. But I think it's fixable, and I'd like to keep our contingency fund somewhat available so that we can fix that.
And as you recall, the issue of the cleaning and all of that kind of thing that involved inside the classrooms had to be done before school started, but then after school started, that's when the outside stuff, the civil engineer to get the dirt away from the walls and the roof and the drains and all of that is next.
Right.
But that'll go on during school.
Right, and that's one of the major problems too, is that roofing, because the water does come down on the side of it.
Right.
You know, so that's like something that we really need to get focused on. But we are addressing those issues. We know
It wasn't all going to be done before school started.
we know that those issues are there. We are addressing those issues. You know, it just takes some time to get everything, I'm not going to say corrected, but to get where we can kind of like get the kids through this year until we can figure out what we can do, because we are trying to figure out other options that we can do, you know, and I'm just gonna leave that right there.
Okay. All right, next, bus drivers, Mr. Woods.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The bus driver situation that was brought to my attention by several bus drivers, and just for information or clarification, I understand that we put something in the budget for bus drivers getting a raise. Was anything done for the ones that been with us like from 16 years on up? I just want to understand that. Can Mr. Park answer that for me? Because a lot of bus drivers that have been with us for years, I want to know, have they been compensated for anything?
Let me mention that the bus driver's schedule was compressed, and so those at the top of the scale did not increase. However, if it is the desire of the board, we could add maybe 2 steps to that schedule, and that way those that would be at the top of the scale would be able to see an increase. It wouldn't be that expensive for us to do that, and if that's the desire of the board.
I'm just saying, I got several calls from bus drivers that have been with us for years. And we just want to make sure that we are showing our appreciation to them also, because we got some that have been with us for over 16 years or plus.
If that's a desire of the board, what we can do is we can add 2 steps to that schedule. I could bring that back for you next month, and then you could adopt the schedule.
Thank you.
Okay, very good.
So we're going to wait on giving them an increase?
Well,
till all this happens?
I thought it was the intent of the board.
you voted on the, you approved the budget, which included the compressed scales. However, those that were at the top did not see an increase.
Why is that?
Because of the fact that what the employees, the bus drivers actually start at year 12, but they did not go beyond the existing, the top of the scale. So just like what we've done with the specialty maintenance folks, we compressed the schedule so the starting pay was higher. But you know, certainly if that's the desire of the board, we'd be glad to make a revision to the.
We need to show our appreciation for all bus drivers. Bus drivers are very important to our district.
Certainly.
And those that have been working for us for years, that could have went elsewhere. We need to show some type of gratitude, appreciation for sticking with us over 16 years plus 20-some years. And I don't think we don't need to wait on that.
Okay. Well, what I could, if you want to give me a directive on that.
And what I told him was, and you all correct me if I spoke in a wrong way about what everybody thought. I believe when we voted to give the bus drivers a raise, we intended all of the bus drivers to have a raise. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And I told him that, and I said, we weren't talking about compressed schedules and this and that and the other. We wanted all the bus drivers to have a raise. And if that's the consensus of everybody, we don't have it on here for a vote. But if I'm speaking correctly about what we all were about when we
already voted on it, Madam Chair.
Yeah, but all this is just a misinterpretation.
Yes.
I think we voted for that. It's a misinterpretation. Just correct it.
Okay.
Forward.
Very good. We'll take care of that.
Okay,
I'll add
good.
2 steps, and then I'll just bring it back as information item at the next
But you can
meeting.
correct
But
it
we'll
this
go
month.
ahead and address it now.
Okay. Mr. Norton?
Certainly.
When you use the term 2 steps, are you talking about like they're 16 years now and now we're going to go to 18 years?
What will happen is those employees that have more than the top of the scale, which I believe is 16 years, will add 2 more steps, which is each step is 1.5%. So that will effectively go to 18 years on that scale.
So it would be the final scale then would be 16 plus years.
It would be actually 18 years is where they would top out at.
And the bottom line is all the bus drivers
All
will get a
bus
raise.
drivers then would end up with an increase.
If I understand the board correctly, you're authorizing him to move forward?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Very good.
And that's what we thought we were doing to begin with. Okay, Mr. Branch.
Will you pay the affected ones retroactive
That is the pleasure of the board. We could go back, and there's probably not that many impacted by that. We could make that
Is
effective
that the pleasure of
July
the board?
1.
Without dissent, he can do it?
Okay, very good.
Yeah. Okay, that
All
takes
right.
care of that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And next is board documentation. Is that Mr.?
That's me, Ms.
That's you.
Boston.
Okay,
Thank you, Madam Chair.
all right.
I just want to get clarification on board documentation. In July 24th, Mr. Danny Driggers made a motion about putting superintendent administrative leave with paid benefits and medical. And I just want to understand that I received a letter from all of the details of the stipulations, and I just got a question. Did the board discuss the stipulation of do's and don'ts when she was put on administrative leave? Did they have a duly called meeting so everyone will know exactly what was sent to us through this letter, Madam Chair, because you're the one that signed it? I just want to be clear. I just don't want us.
I'm not sure I know what your question is.
The question is, we received a letter signed by you on July 24th stating the do's and don'ts of our superintendent was on administrative leave, who she was supposed to see, certain things. I just want to ask the question did the full board, or did the board know about the stipulation that was there talked about before this letter went out? That's all I'm asking.
We instructed the attorney to do what was necessary to put what we wanted into effect.
Okay. Who is we? Who is we? Because
The majority.
the majority was, so everybody wasn't included?
Yeah, they were included when I said, all in favor, raise your right hand.
In favor of what?
Yes.
In favor of the motion that was read.
Okay, I understand the motion that was read. The question that I'm asking is that you said the majority of the board knew about this letter that was sent to us on July 24th that was signed by you, about what the do's and don'ts of what the
It
superintendent
was
supposed to.
prepared by the attorney,
Okay,
and it was part of what the motion said he was to do, and it was to clarify circumstances with the former superintendent, and I don't know how to answer your question any differently
If
than
what
that.
you're asking is, did anybody know about, I knew about the letter when you got the letter.
okay, that's why I'm asking, because what
It came in an email. Now, I can't speak for anybody else, but I didn't know about it.
Okay, that's what I'm asking, because I don't want us to get caught up in illegal stuff, because to me it appears that the board should be fully aware of what documentation have been sent to us, and the board should be fully aware of discussing things before we send out information in a duly called meeting with all these stipulations. That's all I'm asking, or what that took place and who were present. That's all I'm asking. I know I heard the motion because I watched the tape. I understand the motion,
Right.
but I didn't hear anything about the letter until I received the letter through email. I'm just asking, did the full board knew about all the stipulations? That's all I'm asking.
Mr. Coachman.
I don't know exactly what Mr. Wood's talking about, but I'm looking at this letter, and in the motion, these stipulations that we put on the superintendent, I did not vote for, and I didn't see anybody else, because these stipulations were not inside the motion.
What stipulations are you referring to?
Stipulations, I'll give you the first one. It
Madam
says-
Chairman, I just want to, I certainly want to be open with the public and transparent.
It should be an executive
But we are
session.
dealing with an employee, and
Correct.
before we do anything improper,
Correct.
we should,
That's what,
at least we should address this in executive
that's what I'm
session.
talking about.
All right,
Is
come back out
the
there.
question that I'm asking is, it appears that the full board ain't have knowledge of this until they got it through email. Somebody drafted the letter and sent it out, and board chair, you signed it. So evidently, somebody had to know about it, and we got witnesses now. Board members said they ain't even know nothing about what this was in the letter. I just said we need to be careful with things that we do.
The problem is, for me, if we're going to put stipulations on somebody as a board, I need to have knowledge of what I'm saying I've done, and I had nothing to do with any
That's all I'm
stipulation,
saying.
because we've been through this once before with another superintendent with stipulation, and it cost us $420,000.
We need to discuss this in executive session. All right? Next, supporting documents in reference to Dr. Tiller's contract And I think that also
Well,
might
that's gonna-
possibly need to be.
It does need to go into executive session, but I want to elaborate on it. And basically, any supported document and anything that is coming from the attorney, I feel like it needs to come to the entire, not 9 board members. We all were elected to serve the citizens of the county. And even if we're not the majority, don't vote in the majority, we still need to know. As a board member, we need to know what's going on with the contract discussions. We need to be involved with it, whether we are in the majority or the minority. And what's happening is our attorney is only contacting certain board members, only 1 or 2 board members. And that is not right, that is not legal, that is not our board policy. If we're gonna do things, we need to do it so the entire board knows what's going on. And I'm not going to be a part of somebody sent out a letter saying that the board made a decision and I'm not aware of it or some type of letter. So documentation, I think all board members need to be seeing all documentation during this period of making a decision on which way we're going with the superintendent and the contract and any settlement offer or whatever.
And the next item also needs to be an executive session. This is not funny. This is serious discussion. And then, what is this next one? Salary personnel changes as of 7/24/2017. What is that about?
Well, I got a question about, has there been any salary changes to the personnel in this district since the superintendent has left? Because anytime we have salary changes, the board has to vote on it.
I'm not aware of any salary changes.
Well, that's the question I'm asking, just to
So
be
the answer
clear.
is no.
Well, you wouldn't know that, Madam Chair.
How would you know that, Madam Chair?
Yeah, how would you know that?
Well,
she would be advising.
I can answer that question because we haven't approved it, have we?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We have not approved it. That's why it shouldn't be any, but
Okay.
I'm just asking a question.
I
to
haven't
make sure.
approved any. I don't think anybody else
I
on the
haven't
board
either.
has.
None of us have.
Yeah.
Dr. Lane, has there been any salary increases?
Mr. Palm, would you come forward, please? You and Dr. Combs,
I know somebody can answer that
Yes,
question.
Dr. Combs is our Human Resource Executive Director.
Did you get a raise, Dr. Carr?
No, ma'am, I sure did not. But there have been some salary changes, yes, as directed by the acting superintendent for the director of personnel, executive director of human resources, to prepare transmittals for a few staff members, yes.
Well, I would like to know what those are because
we hadn't gotten there yet.
I'll later share that with you in executive session.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, I appreciate my board members letting me know because I didn't know anything about it, so I don't know how you found out, but that's good.
I didn't know either. I just asked the question.
We will find out about it, so I agree with you.
Yeah, I just asked the question.
As generally we do when we go into executive session, that's where these things are discussed. All right, systematic provision of maintenance for schools. I would like to know if there's a plan in place. You may not have that yet because you've just taken this job on.
And thank you, but Dr. McCloud will share some information during his presentation.
All right. Do you want to do that now? Yeah. All right.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Lane, within your packet you see capital improvements, the last portion of your packet. In other words, this is an ongoing, in other words, we identified all of the needs within the district, and ones that are color-coded in yellow, those are areas where we've actually done some of the work or maybe have completed it. But that's a comprehensive list of all of our needs that we've been able to identify, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 that have come as of late.
All right.
And I thank you for that. We've asked for that and we've got it, so we can prioritize our funds.
Well, I keep it as an ongoing list and, you know, just mark stuff off as the funds become available to deal with it.
Great. All right, next.
Madam Chair, before we go forward, you missed one, the update on the, that I was up on, update on Dr. Tiller's leave and settlement. I assume we'll get an update on that tonight.
That's an executive session.
I'm just asking the question because it was on,
Are you asking if we're going to get that?
you skipped over it on the agenda.
I know, because it's not proper to deal with it in open session.
I'm not asking to deal with it, just make, it's on the public agenda. I just want, just don't skip over that so that we can know that we are going to discuss it. That's the only thing I'm asking, Madam Chair.
That's what I said just a few minutes ago, that would be discussed in executive session.
Okay.
As well as the salary changes.
Thank you.
All right. Next, Mr. Joe Biddles, Chief of Community Health, is going to make a presentation about Care South. Welcome, Mr. Biddles.
Welcome, Madam Chairman, distinguished members of the Marlboro County School Board System, Dr. Lane, and Representative Pathagan, and concerned citizens, as you should be, and our Marlboro County community. Welcome. I'm very happy to be here tonight on behalf of Care South Carolina, and we'd like to thank you for having us to come speak briefly about our dental program. It's our mobile dental program that we can take into the schools. How we differ from a lot of other dental programs is that we actually go into the school, we work with the school system, we have our dentists, we have our dental hygienists, we have our whole team that comes in and moves out very smoothly. We are working with this program in numerous counties in our area, and our 3 counties in our area, and expanding more. We just wanted to let our manager of our dental program do a brief slide program of showing you what our program looks like and how we can be effective. Today, when we've got here, we've talked about students, we've talked about tomorrow's students, which coined an old saying, it's our future. You've talked about the education. We want to talk about the health, which enables them to stay into school to get that education. By us bringing the dental to them, it is not interrupting with their school system. It's not interrupting with their parents who might be working that would have to take them away. So I'm going to turn this over now to Ashley Whittle, our manager, and let her speak briefly on this.
Welcome.
Thank you for having us. Miles with Smiles Dental Program, we actually started in 2011. We are in grades 4K to 12, and we actually roll out a full dental office to your students. I gave you guys a packet just to follow along, see some pictures, some of the things that we actually do. What we actually offer in our schools are exams, cleanings, sealants. We're actually able to take care of restorative work and extractions as well. Restorative work would actually be the fillings, stainless steel crowns, and of course we do preventative, which would be the sealants and the fluoride varnish. Our team is consisted of 2 dentists at the moment. We are in the process of adding a 3rd. We have 2 hygienists. We also have dental assistants and a full administrative staff off-site. It looks like a lot going on the slides where there's a big truck and a lot of people are coming in, but it's actually pretty small and runs very smoothly. Our administrative team, we actually help verify all of the patient information. We go through their medical history, contact parents, make sure that they are okay with joining the program and are aware of any kind of bill that may be generated for them. A lot of our students actually have Blue Cross Blue Shield, state, federal, MetLife, and we also work with the Medicaid program as well. With our scheduling of each school, we reach out to the school nurse. She's usually our superstar, our star supporter, and we're able to coordinate schedules with the schools to make sure there's no exam dates, there's no field trips with the grades and things like that. Our needs are pretty simple. Whenever we arrive for the cleanings and the restorative work, we set up just a patient flow. And during the school, our needs are actually really simple. Just a small classroom, usually if it has a sink or just close to a sink so we can take care of some of our housekeeping duties and sanitation. We usually bring in about 3 dental chairs and we start rolling with dental work. So cleanings, fillings, exams, all of that great stuff. Our exit, we send out notes to our parents and any kind of work that has been done. If a patient is numb that day, they usually have like a little indicator on them. We discuss it with the teacher, let them know, hey, this patient might be numb. You just watch out for them for the day. Because as y'all know, if you've had dental work done, it gets to feel a little funny. So once our exit is complete, we start waiting lists for our next visits. We're usually in the school hopefully twice a year. So we can accommodate the cleaning schedules of once every 6 months. Excuse me. The benefits to this program is, did you guys know that a lot of children do not have toothbrushes at home? Wow. Do you know how many children share a toothbrush? It's a significant number. Our roads team, I believe you guys have them come out and do physicals, and they actually took 2 large boxes of toothbrushes because they've been in schools 2 weeks now and handed out 20. 20 children did not have toothbrushes. So the benefits to us, or the benefits to them and seeing us, is they're able to create that dental home. They're starting off with education on how to care for their teeth. They're learning how to brush, floss, why they're getting cavities, staying away from sugary things. And not only that, with us being able to bring us to you guys, it's lessening the barrier for the parents. They're not missing work. They're not having to worry about transportation. The kids are already with you guys. So they're not having to miss school. And if anybody has any questions, I'll be able to answer that.
I noticed on here that I see extractions.
Yes, ma'am.
Y'all would do extractions in school?
We would actually designate those for the end of the day, so that the child can go ahead home and take care of biting down on that gauze and not having any issues in school, not bleeding, not being numb.
If you extract that tooth, he's gonna have bleeding, right?
Of course, absolutely. But if he's dismissed and he's going home, he's biting down on the gauze, he's given the proper information on how to care for it. We have the parent on site at that time, and the parent is fully aware of everything that is going on as well.
Okay, so so what y'all gonna call the parent and have them come up here?
Absolutely. Before the extraction appointments, those are actually considered a little bit more major work, and we do follow proper protocol with that. We're not going to do it during school hours. If it's a time where you guys have early dismissal, like 2:30, we try and make sure that the school is going to be open at that time so that we can extend our appointment times to see the children if they're in pain. If it's an emergency situation, we work with a school nurse in order to contact the parent, and that parent can come, be involved in the visit, and remove the child from the school. A lot of the times the child will need an extraction if they have an abscess. Has anybody ever had an abscess, ever had a toothache, ever had a broken tooth?
So would y'all be equipped?
You got to give them antibiotics, I understand, before you extract
Absolutely.
the tooth.
Would y'all be equipped if you pull a child's tooth that does not know that that child have a heart murmur?
We do a full medical history. If you open the packet.
Can I finish?
Oh, absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. And like I said, it's not known that the child has that heart murmur, and y'all pull that tooth, and that child go into distress. What are you going to do?
Yes, absolutely. All of our staff members are CPR certified and can handle basic life-saving. Our dentists are fully aware of major life-saving protocol, and they would be able to handle that situation. And 911. I mean, that sort of thing can actually happen in private practice. It wouldn't just be something limited to school. But we are very thorough in our medical histories. We do work with the parent closely as well as the school nurse.
Is the first screening a mass screening, or does it require parental request?
Well, in the packet, we actually have it's a consent form, and the parent would consent to treatment. We do not screen, if you have 500 children in a school, we don't screen all 500 unless they're signed up for the program. We do the dental screenings at the first appointment. It's usually x-rays, examinations with the doctor, and we work up a full treatment plan on what needs to be done. If it's a procedure we can't do, we let the parent know, and we let them know who they can see in order to help that child.
But it does require parental request.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and they would consent to treatment.
And even if the parent wanted to come in for that screening, they're welcome to do that as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your help. It's very, very important for our children.
Thank you.
Thank you. And again, as we're talking about education, this enables for the child to stay in the system, enables for the parent to stay at work, not have to get away. We have brought a contract, and we're going to electronic mail you a contract tomorrow just for you and your board to review. And we're very excited about having the opportunity to take part in this to help the young adults. And thank you for your time. And for
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you get all your questions answered, Ms. Bright? Did you? Okay.
Thank you for asking this question.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Ms. Parsons,
Yes.
maybe I missed it, but aren't they already in our system, or don't we already have someone doing dental?
They did a pilot program at the McCall School.
Oh, so it's not school district-wide?
No,
Okay.
it's not district-wide. There is another group that is doing it
Was there another
district-wide,
question for me?
a different group.
No. Was there another question
Okay.
for me?
Yeah.
Do we have a contract with them?
I got Dr. Lane to pull up a contract, and I'll get him to send it to everybody. We can discuss that in
Okay.
executive session. Yeah. I just asked him to pull it up today, so he didn't have time to get it to everybody. But we will do that.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you. I actually have a patient in the audience that could sing our praises if he will come up and share his story. And he just pulled me to the side, so let's hear him out.
I'd like to say good evening to the chairman, board
Did
members.
you behave when you were at the dentist?
Yes, ma'am. I went with them about a month ago, had cleaning did. They did a wonderful job. Their doctor, I had to have a teeth place. She recommended me to MUSC in Charleston. I'm gonna have an implant did on the 2nd of October, and the price cost $2,800 in Charleston. Here, they want $4,500.
Wow.
And they're very good. They're very good. Trust me, they're very good. They have good doctors and good nursing assistants. They are very good. Trust me, they're good.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mrs. Smith. I'm sure they are.
You know, something was brought to my attention that I really had never thought about. If a child gets sick at home, most of the time they'll get well if they go to bed and take care of themselves, if they get flu and those kinds of things. If you've got a tooth problem, it's not going to get fixed by itself. You got to go somewhere. And many of our kids don't have a way to get to a dentist.
Yeah, well, the people that we have coming in now, they do their teeth. They don't extract the children's teeth. They do sealants mostly and cleaning. And it's just my belief that if my child has to have a tooth extracted, it will not be at the schoolhouse. You know, it would be, wouldn't mind if they went to the doctor's office, okay? But you're not gonna pull their teeth out here and something goes wrong. Now you got to call 911, get them. I'm not going to do any change.
Yeah. All right, and next, Mr. Park, the approval of memorandum of understanding for school resource officers in the Bennettsville Police Department.
Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Lane, you have before you a memorandum of understanding for school resource officer with the Bennettsville Police Department. You can find the memorandum as drafted by the district's legal counsel, outlining the understanding between the Marlboro County School District and the Bennettsville Police Department for the school resource program. The memorandum of understanding proposes to provide 2 school resource officers at the Marlboro County High School during regular school year and provide those same officers for summer programs and other activities during the summer. As indicated in the MOU, the annual cost for the service for fiscal year 17-18 will be $128,137.20, which is about $10,000 greater than last year's cost. The increase will need to be charged to the district contingency. My recommendation here is to authorize the acting superintendent to execute the agreement for the school resource officer program for fiscal year 2017-18.
Mr. Park, the additional $10,000 is due to additional equipment. What is that there to?
It's actually an extended period of time. Instead of a 9-month program, it's 12 months. And then on top of that, of course, there's also additional costs associated with equipment and such. So, and that's spread over a 5-year period. So
this additional $10,000 will be there for 5 years at least, is what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am.
In the past, I don't want to interrupt you, we have asked for help with providing the vehicles.
Correct.
From community folks who might wish to provide it, or at least partly provide the vehicle. Has that been looked into?
That hasn't been, and I don't, this is something that is new with this agreement. So in the past, the city has provided not only the vehicle, but also the other equipment without having that cost coming back to the district. I think it is kind of a budgetary concern for them right now. Of course, that is up to.
But you have a vehicle times 2 officers, so we're proposing to buy the vehicles for them at about
effectively
$24,000?
pay for the 2 vehicles over a 5-year period. It's all part of the agreement. Effectively, they would pay the vehicles up front, and then of course we would reimburse 1/5 of the cost of the vehicles and equipment over the term of the agreement. Yes, sir.
Mr. Woods?
Yes, I have no objection of school resource office for all of our students. I'm concerned about the outside line schools like Wallace, Blenheim, Clio. I know we got resource officers in McCall. I know we got resource officers, and I think that why haven't we looked at partnering with the city council and county council and the school board coming together to share costs to try to make sure that all our schools are safe with resource officers?
I think there's a jurisdictional issue.
No, what I'm saying is I see the one for the city. Has we talked to the sheriff department about concern of Blenheim and Wallace, because those kids also need to have resource officers out there too. Have we looked at explored into this?
I've not spoken with the sheriff's department. My only communication.
And that's my concern, that we have all of our schools with resource officers, with all this stuff happening today, that we need to make sure that all of the schools, not only just the city, but also outside the county, like Wallace, Blenheim, Clio, be secured also.
That would be a separate agreement.
Well, we need to look at that agreement.
All right, do you want to put that on next month's agenda?
Set up a meeting. What I was saying is, why can't we meet with the city and county and try to share costs with this?
Because it's a separate jurisdiction.
Why haven't we explored this?
The city's taking care of.
Huh?
The city's taking care of right here.
Yeah.
We need to talk about the county.
Yeah, we need to get the county also. We need. That's what I was saying. I have no problem with this. The problem that I have is we need to make sure that all the schools have resource officers. We need to set up some with the county to try to get agreement to see what we can do for the schools on the outside of our county line.
From what I understand, one of the big issues with the county is the fact that they do not have many officers right now, and they don't have officers that have gone through this
Mr. Park, you just said you ain't talked to him.
Well, I haven't talked with them, but I've just talked in
Mr.
general
Woods.
about this.
Yeah, Mr. Lane.
I've had some discussion with the sheriff, and the sheriff said, matter of fact, he had some discussion with Dr. Tiller before this had left, and they was working on something. So basically, I think we need to follow up with Chief Lemon. He said that he could make it happen.
Let me clarify this issue here. This issue on the agenda is about the city and the school district. And if we want to do something with the sheriff, that's a separate agenda item, and we need to tend to the item that's on here now, and then move to what we can do with the county. Do you understand where I'm coming from? It's a legal issue of FOIA and all of those things. So we need to stay focused on what this issue on the agenda is.
Let's vote on it.
Dr. Lane, you had something you wanted to say?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in there.
And thank you. I was just going to suggest that we can ask Mr. Park and myself and maybe some others, Dr. McLeod, to meet with the sheriff and his team and then bring that information back to you next month.
Okay, that'll work. Yeah.
We'd be happy to.
That's cool.
Yep. All right. So now, it does not have on here vote needed, but it says approval of memorandum, so that implies that a vote will be taken. Mr. Norton.
It does say vote needed.
It does say vote needed.
Mine doesn't have vote needed.
Yeah, it does, right beside action.
Oh, I see, it's under all of them. I'm sorry.
If this $10,000, if this additional $10,000 over a 5-year period is to pay for equipment, at the end of 5 years, who owns this equipment?
It would not be titled or insured by the district, so it would be the municipality. It would be
we're not buying it, we're renting it.
Correct. We have no ownership in it.
I think the most important thing about it, we're paying for the safety of our children.
Right, and that's a primary.
I don't have a problem, I just wondered who would own it at the end, because we could get some of our money back.
The agreement, I love the terms of the agreement, and we know we need SRO officers at the high school. And maybe I'm just not understanding this. When you've got $48,000 for 2 vehicles, are we
Correct.
purchasing those vehicles and the Bennettsville Police Department will own them? Or are we renting
No.
from them? What's going on there?
We are providing a payment
Okay.
for 20% of the cost of those vehicles each year.
So this
Vehicles and
48,000
equipment.
is spread over 5 years? Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
ma'am.
So the 10,000 extra that you're asking for was based on what?
Well, it's a matter of the cost of the salaries and benefits. And that is for 2 officers' salaries and benefits. If we look at the
Well, I've got that.
page.
That's $108,852, right? Is that salary and
Correct,
benefits?
that's correct.
Okay.
And then you've got operational supplies and expenses, $6,200. And then if you take the one-time expenditures of $64,426 and divide that by 5, that's $13,085. And it's the total of the 108,852, the 6,200, and the $13,085 to come to 128,137.20.
All right, so what's the portion we're paying on the cars?
We're paying 100% of that, but it's over 5 years.
So your figure of 128,000,
Is an annual cost.
all right, and that will be for 5 years.
Yes, assuming that
I'm adding the numbers up, they're not adding up. I'm trying to do it quickly.
right, it's the 3 numbers, 108,852, 6,200, and 13,085.20. And there again,
Okay, so
there will likely,
annual payment for equipment expenses includes payment for the cars?
yes, ma'am,
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get at. Okay.
sure.
All right.
And it includes payment for the vehicles as well as the equipment.
And an additional 10. It's included in
It's all included in the 128.
And how much are we paying per year now?
We're paying about 117,000.
And you're
But-
saying that this additional cost is for the benefits and the salaries for the employees?
Benefits and salary for the entire year too, because we were only paying 9 months, which effectively what we were paying was 100% of their salary, none of their benefits. The city was paying for the benefits for the 3 months of summer coverage that they were not providing us.
But we were paying for the benefits for the 9 months.
No.
No, we were not.
No, we were paying for a year's
So the city was sharing
salary.
the cost. Okay, I got you.
We were
paying no
and then
benefits.
no benefits.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, now the additional 3 months,
Mr. Branch?
where will they be, the additional 3 months?
I'd like to authorize.
I guess in our summer
To
programs.
execute the agreement for the SRO
I second that.
program for 2017, 2018.
I
Is
second.
there any debate?
I think we need them, we got to do it. We want good people and good cars.
We're going to get it.
All right.
Any debate? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion's carried unanimously. Okay, good deal. All right. I want to tell you also, when we had the meeting about this, and we invited everyone to come, Chief Miller and the group that came tossed around the idea of a police program that would go on. A police program that would go on during the summer. We haven't worked it all out yet, but it would take place in various parks where the police would accelerate the community-oriented policing concept and become mentors and people that spend time with students.
Madam Chair, I don't want to take up too much more time, but I have had children request that they become an intern in the police department and or the fire department. They would like to do that or have some kind of conjunctive course. When we're talking about tech and these others that can lead to that, so I just want to put that in the mix. Maybe the police department can find money for that.
Well, the reason I brought this up is so everybody would know, if you have ideas for a program in the summer, get them to Chief Miller or me or Dr. Lane or a board member, whatever. It's kind of an open concept right now, and we're going to work on it. Chief Miller, would you like to say something?
Yes. I just want to first thank all of you for taking the consideration because, like I've said before, it's hard to put a price tag on the safety and security of our children. And this shows a partnership, a strong partnership between the city and the school board. And, you know, that sends a strong message to everyone as well that we're in cooperation and we're on the same page as far as, once again, our safety and security. Also, this is going to give us the opportunity to allow our officers to become more involved with our children and our community. Whereas before, you know, there was that lapse in time over the summer. Now these officers will be 100% dedicated to these children and trying to get involved in their lives. And that's what we're trying to do, is you know, be more visible in the community, make ourselves more present in these young people's lives, and if we can just change one, that's worth it. So I just want to thank y'all again, and if you have any other questions, feel free to get a hold of me at any time. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Mighty fine job, Chief.
Yes, doing a mighty fine job.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming tonight. We appreciate it.
All right. Dr. McLeod, the freshman trip to Atlanta, Georgia, February 15th through 18th, 2018. The sophomore trip to Virginia and Washington, D.C., March 14th through 17th, 2018 from Marlboro County High, both of those from Marlboro County High School. Senior trip to Orlando, Florida and Tampa, Florida, April 18th through 22nd, 2018, Marlboro County High School. And the junior trip to New Jersey and New York City, May 9th through 11th, 2018, Marlboro County High School. Funding's done?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, members of the board, and Dr. Lane, the only one that I would like for you to take a close look at is the senior trip.
Okay.
That senior trip has them going to Wet and Wild Water Land, which is where they swim at. So even though I recommended that you approve it, I want you to be aware that on their agenda, they have a water park.
Is that Emerald Park?
Huh?
Is that the one in Greensboro or Asboro?
No, this is
Oh, that's in Orlando.
Florida.
I wasn't looking.
Do you have enough chaperones?
Yes, ma'am, chaperone, not the problem. I just want you all to be aware that they're going to a water park.
Okay.
Your concerns are whether they can swim or not.
Exactly.
That's what you're thinking
And
about.
supposedly they're gonna get permission from parents as to whether or not they can enter water or not. But anytime you got kids around water, it's always a concern of mine.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we approve all 4 of the trips.
All right.
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Okay. Thank you, Dr. McLeod. And Mr. Black, the CAPE, presentation to school board on CAPE.
Oh, this might be short.
Try.
Please try.
You're a star tonight.
I hate to tell you, you're gonna be seeing me more.
That's all
And if I might say this before Mr. Black gets started, this is part of a very aggressive and progressive move by the high school as well as all of our schools to provide 21st century centers of excellence. And so we were very pleased he's coming, and he'll be back again next month with part 2.
Okay.
Mr. Black.
Who is lighting these microphones up? Okay. We're all back from.
Good evening again, for those that were not here earlier. What I want to do is share with you, actually, the state of South Carolina's look at career and technology education. I've completed 1 year in that position here in the school district. I sat back and I watched a lot. I had to learn some on the run, but I want to share some information with you. Right now, your report card, which you'll probably hear more about that as the year goes on, there's 2 big pieces of it that Kate is going to deal with. Is a kid a Kate completer? If they are, they're career ready. If they pass work keys, that makes them career ready. It's not up here, but I'll go ahead and mention this to you. If they score 30 or better on the, I think it's 30, might be 32, on the ASVAB, they're going to be considered career ready. And that's a large part of our student body right there. That career side is going to be very important. We're also working toward industry certification, and I'll talk more about that. And there's going to be a push for me later on, not now, but in the years to come, more work-based learning. These are some of the state organizations, and I'll just mention to you, DECA is here at the high school, alive and well. FBLA is alive and well. HOSA is alive and well, and FFA. There's some others up there that I'm going to be twisting the arms of the teachers to get them involved in the next year or two. Right now, these are the 5 top careers based on the data the State Department could gather. Diversified manufacturing, information technology, healthcare, logistics, transportation, and wholesale and construction. And we are in the manufacturing aspect. We do teach welding here and machine shop. Information technology, we're fixing to go a big change with our computers program. It's a state mandate. Healthcare, I think one of our most successful programs here is our nursing program. And the logistics piece, believe it or not, the inland port is going to be very critical. And I'll say this to you, the kids that are in our high school right now just came in the 9th grade, their jobs haven't been created yet. That's how it's changing so quickly. This is a pie graph from the state. I'm not going to spend that much time with it, but I included it in a handout for you. You may be able to figure out, I think agriculture is still a big area in the state. Business is the big part of the pie there. Human and health services is a big piece of the pie, which we do that here very strong. One of the things I found very interesting, and the state data is about a year or 2 behind because that's collected from everywhere. If we get a kid in the Kate department the vocational area, and they stay with us, they're more likely to graduate. 98% of the graduates, or when they looked at Kate's people that graduated, 98% of them graduated, whereas overall from the state it's only 80. And there's a big push I've already started with our staff to recruit our students into different programs. Just share some information with you. This is bar graphs. We're finding there are more K completers. Over the last 3 years, it's grown 17%. Industry certification is growing. If you look at the numbers, they're staying about the same. But I'll mention to you, you met Will Parrish tonight. On his own, as a high school junior, he now has a national certification that he earned outside of school hours, which we'll be talking about that to you next month. Dual credit. You see right now, and they're using dual credit. Dr. Bunch talks about dual enrollment. The idea is kid takes the class, he gets credit both places. You'll see that those numbers have have grown drastically in the last 3 years of their comparison. Work keys, again, those numbers are getting better. That's a testing program. We're going to be doing some things here during the year to make it better for our kids so they can be successful. Because the state's looking for silver, gold, or better. And you see the 2 years comparison, it did increase. This is a new state regulation that came down this summer. State legislator, Ms. Hennigan was part of approving this, I'm sure. In the past, you had to complete 4 what they call Carnegie units, or 4 classes, excuse me. Most of the programs have been relaxed now. Starting this year, if a kid enters this year, let's say auto mechanics, and I'm using that example, it may not be, well, let me go back to health science, the nursing program. They're only required to complete 3 classes. That's all they're required now. So the standards have been relaxed a little bit so we can have more completers. And it sometimes, being in a comprehensive high school is a good thing, but sometimes your kids are getting the competition. I got a kid right now who wants to be in the CAPE program, and we have to try to figure out how to get him into an honors English class, make it work for him. So those are the kind of things that this law will help us a little bit to have more kids getting what they want. And the bottom line, every kid at this school is going to have a job when they leave here. Talk to you a little about funding, about how, and this is from the state idea. There are basically 4 big pots of money. Federal money from the Perkins grant. Then from the state is an EIA equipment grant, work-based learning, and a state proviso, which I'll mention to you. I'm going to talk about this federal just a little bit. It's called the Carl D. Perkins Career and Technical Education Act of 2006. Every year we send people to Washington to fight for this to keep it going because there's people that want to cut it. But it's still alive and well. You can see the numbers, and this is coming into South Carolina now. You see it's over $18 million. It's pretty much what it's been over the last couple of years. And there is a slight increase this year compared to last year. Let you know a little bit about how that money's split up. 15% goes to the State Department Career and Technology Education for their leadership and administration of the fund. The other 85% is split between the public schools and the technical colleges of South Carolina. The public schools get 70% of that money. The technical schools get 30%. There was a move by the U.S. House to strengthen this act into the future, which is very much needed. And of course, like anything, the federal government's going to grade you. I highlighted 2 areas in red, and this is from the state, but I compared them to our numbers, and the 2 areas in red, we got the same problem. Indicator 1S2 deals with math. We didn't pass it, the state didn't pass it. I will tell you this, last spring when I got aware of this, we did send 3 of our CATE teachers to a conference, one-day conference, on how to improve math scores, and they came back and did some neat things in the spring, and we're going to start them back very soon. 6S1, if I remember correctly, deals with non-traditional students. I'll just use welding. Girls are not usually in welding. We've had 2 girls in welding. That's a plus for us. But that's where we got to recruit more of those non-traditional students into our programs to get that credit. Your state funding, right now, if you notice, this year the state is actually going to, through the school districts of South Carolina, split up $13.79 million. And you'll notice there was a big difference from last year, which was 15.3. That was the recurring money that got dropped in there, 1.5 million, which if you go back and figure it out, it's about the same amount as it was last year. So the state is putting more money into the program, and we'll use what it says is equipment. That's what we can buy with it. And we'll talk more about the type of equipment we've been purchasing and what's in the future for us. Work-based learning is another area. We're going to have to improve on this area. The state's kind of relaxing their guidelines because sometimes it's hard for us to spend all the money in this area. So we're going to be able to have a little flexibility where we can move some of that money like over to our equipment where we may need it versus the work-based at this point. In the future, though, we do look to have more work-based learning going on. Proviso 1A67 is very, very interesting. It came out last year. I think we actually got like $8,000 here in Marlboro County. It was to pay for our kids to take credentialing tests. Like ASCE, it pays for those tests. Whatever our nurses do, it pays for those tests. So we've got a pot of money there that we can spend on those kids to prepare for those tests and to get them tested. And industry certification is going to be a big buzzword over the next few years. A little bit about the money. Federal money cannot carry over. If they give me $100, I got to spend $100 this year. Otherwise, I lose it. State money, though, can be carried over 1 year. My goal, though, is we won't be carrying anything over. We're going to move forward. We're going to buy what the kids need and move on. A local plan has already been developed. Basically, it tells what we're doing here at the high school. And that plan is the basis on how our federal and state funds come back to us. That plan has already been developed. I did have a slide in here about the timeline, but the state can't keep their timeline. It was supposed to be done in April, and it was July before they ever actually asked for it. And then the funding piece is actually due at the end of this month, the budget part that goes with that. Any questions? Try to make it short and sweet for you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much. Mr. Park, financial report as of August 23rd, 2017.
You have the financial report as of August 23rd, 2017. Are there any questions that you have about that report?
If we don't have any questions, we're going to move right along because we got a lot of stuff to do.
Right.
All right, next, Abbeville Capital Improvement Fund application and District Capital Project Improvement Plan.
Very good. I'm pleased to announce that we have made application for $3 million via the Abbeville Capital Improvement Fund, which that fund has about $55.8 million. However, it is eligible for 48 districts, those that are part of the Abbeville case, as well as those districts that have 80% poverty index. The application that we've submitted will be reviewed for consideration October 10th, 2017 by the State Department of Ed at their October meeting. The application includes 3 prioritized $1 million capital projects. Each project addresses deferred maintenance and promotes energy efficiency and improved air quality. The district's first priority project provides for roof replacement, HVAC replacement, lighting, and a small amount of window replacement at Bennettsville Intermediate School.
That's number one.
That's
We're
number
talking about
one.
$1 million.
$1 million.
Since we're in the corridor of shame, do you think there's any chance we can get more than $3 million?
No one can get more than $3
I want to
million.
ask, is that the top of the line?
That's the absolute limit. That is, and you can only apply for 3 $1 million projects as a part of one plan. That is the limit.
Is this, for instance, if we begin roof repair,
Right, that's my question.
is it okay to begin prior to approval?
I think there's a lot of risk in ever starting a project prior to and then asking reimbursement subsequent.
Because the concept is you don't have the money to do it, and that's why they're helping.
Well, the concept is that there's an approval process that we need to be respectful of the board.
Yeah,
Of course, there again, we're talking October 10th.
That roof cannot wait.
I'm hoping it's not. Well, and by the time you go through the procurement process, you may, it takes time in order to do that. And obviously, having that information on hand, just to give you an idea, just when you look at our district, and we'll get into this a little later, we've got about 885,000 square feet just in school facilities. When you think about that, that's 20 acres under roof. When you talk about roofing, every acre of roof costs somewhere between $600,000 and $1 million. So you can do the math. That's $12 to $20 million just to replace roofs within the district. Now, obviously, we've got new roofs on a lot of our facilities, but when you think about working that into a schedule, it's expensive.
When do you think we might hear about it? Excuse me.
From what I understand, I thought that at the meeting they're supposed to actually make a decision at that meeting on the 10th of October.
That's what I heard.
And it is first come, first serve.
So we're in, right?
We're in. This has been submitted August 29th. I got an email back thanking us for our prompt submission. We've included, I think, some really good information. We hope that we've selected the things that are going to be most priority with the state. Deferred maintenance, I think things that affect health and safety, obviously remove the threat of deteriorating buildings once you address roofs and such, and then deal with air quality and energy efficiency with HVAC. The other part of the application, second and third sections, come out to the high school, and we've included the details within the plan. I've attached a copy, and I'm going to just kind of go through the what I'm referring to as the district's capital improvement plan. What we've done here is we've laid out what we feel like will be funding sources from 2017 through 2022. And just to give you an idea, we've got certain designated funds we know already as a part of our bond program. We have annual maintenance, and we've got project funds each year. We also have funding for to finish the ball fields at Blenheim, for the Wallace project, small amount there. And then we've got technology, technical assistance funds. These have to do with preparations for online testing. And then, of course, we have on an annual basis generally about $400,000 worth of technology funds from state funds and $400,000 from federal funds, so just on average. So you get an idea of what our anticipated funding sources look like. And you can see in the fiscal year 2021, what I'm projecting is certainly by that time, if not sooner, we would have a bond referendum. We can support $10 million worth of financing if we do that in 2020, just by, and I'll go to that next. Well, I'll kind of give you an idea of what we're talking about doing within that particular financing. I mean, addressing things like the Bennettsville Intermediate School. We've got a provision to add a new cafeteria, 5th grade hall, to address things like the auditorium, as well as some of the drainage and additional roofing as a part of that project.
Let me just interrupt for a minute. We're looking at a bond referendum possibly in 2020, because that would be the $10 million we'd have paid down on something so that we can borrow, and we can't do it much earlier than that's what the board wants to know, what we can do, when, and how much.
And I'm going to actually kind of illustrate that when we look at the actual bond plan we've got that Mike Gallagher and Franny Heiser brought to the board. So you have an idea of what dollars have not been committed already to existing debt. And I think that's the thing that's kind of important. I mean, if you go to 2020, you can maintain the 33 mills and still do a $10 million financing. If you move that up a little bit, you know, there may be a slight increase in millage, but you can do a $10 million bond issue in 2020 without any increase in the existing target debt service millage.
And if we want to do something earlier, what you're saying is we'd have to increase the mill.
Could be. Or possibly borrow just a little bit less.
But technically,
I think what I'm going to do, Mr. Toole, if you'll open up the bond plan, I want to just show you what I'm referring to within the plan. So I think this will give you sort of a pictorial view. You can see this, it's kind of hard to see this in terms of with the lighting, but just to give you an idea, right now in 2018 we're at 33 mills. You can see that we've got commitments for all but 6 of those mills. Yeah, okay, that's great, thank you. And you can see right across here, right now we've got commitments for 27 mills worth of our funding. So that frees up 6 mills that we can use to service additional debt, to pay for additional financing. Then what happens, you can see the number drops from 27 mills down to 12 mills, and that runs basically through the end of 2038. So at that point in time, we've got 21 mills worth of additional debt service that we can fund. Let me have Mr. Toole, if you go to the next page. You can see this is actually, I think it's it may be it's really hard for me to see that. Go to the next page after that, or wait. Oh, it's this, looks like that may be cut off for whatever reason. That right-hand column is cut off. If we can kind of block
Mr.
out.
All of this information is wonderful, and we need it all, but we have had a very, very long meeting. I'm wondering if we can just take a look at this and get back to him with questions we have, and then...
Basically, it seems to me the information we need is it's really high, and then it drops really low, and then that's where we can do something.
Right.
And give you an idea, there, just from between 2022 and 2036, we've got about $13 million worth of funding that we could actually issue without having a tax. We got $13 million worth of debt that we can actually service at that point in time.
Very good information.
Thank you.
I appreciate
Okay.
it. Thank you so much.
Very
Makes
good.
it
Thank
very
you.
clear. Thank you. Dr. McLeod, information on comprehensive needs. Okay. All right.
We have that, no, yes, thank you, thank you.
Okay, good. I love a check off right now. That's great. Dr. Lane, the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson and members of the board. I'm pleased to advise that all of our schools had a fairly good opening, and visits to all of the schools have revealed that they're off and running. Oh.
I can hear.
You're scared of it tonight because it's gone off so much.
Now, you putting this mic closer to
Risk it.
Yes. Thank you very much. As I was saying, I'm very pleased to advise that all of the schools have had a fairly good opening, and we've visited all of the sites more than once, and the principals, the co-administrators, teachers, staff, all of them are already moving in the direction that we want them to move in, which is improved student achievement, and we see that happening. I also wish to advise that, and this is just a parenthesis, I was at McCall Elementary Middle last Friday, and no, not last Friday, last Thursday, and I was very pleased that Dr. Phillips and his team had Officer Cruz from New York City visiting the campus, and he was meeting with his 8th grade students. And Officer Cruz was one of the first responders at 9/11. And he recounted some of the things that happened on that day, and how it impacted him and some of his co-workers, or his co-officers. And one of the things he said to one of our students who asked him, said, if you had to do that again, would you? He said, of course I would. He said, yes, it was dangerous. He said, but to do what we do is part of our service to this nation. So, but it was a very good experience, and I just wanted to salute McCall Elementary Middle for that. I also want to mention that all of our schools will have 21st century programs, but I'm very pleased to announce that the Children's Defense Fund has already initiated their parent orientation. I was here the other evening at the high school with Ms. Pegues and her team, and Blenheim and the high school are in very good hands, and we're very pleased with what we see and what we heard. Thank you, Ms. Pegues. Let me give you some enrollment reports, or may I share them with you. Currently at Blenheim Elementary Middle, we have 567 students, and the administrative team and myself will be reviewing these figures tomorrow to see what kind of adjustments might be needed. Bennettsville Primary has 433 students. Collier has 138 students. McCall Elementary Middle has 740 students. Wallace Elementary Middle has 466. The School of Discovery has 134 students, and this makes a grand total, based on our latest calculations, of 4,398 students. We're actually up, based on the calculation, we calculated more than once, of 298 students. So that's commendable. I'd like to also share with you that, if you notice on the agenda, it says weekly updates beginning next week Friday, not tomorrow, but next week Friday. Yours truly will be sending out to each of you a weekly update, just providing information to you on things that have happened during the week that you need to be made aware of as board members. And also we will give you a preview of the week to come. So it will come in the form of an email, so look for it. They're just weekly updates. I also wish to mention that, and I really need your help with this, we are challenging all of our schools for continued significant academic growth. We've got 2 schools that are still on the priority list, and we are setting a timetable of removing those schools from the priority list within 1 to 2 years. And yes, that can happen. We want, you said, well, why is that important? It's important because what it means is that once they're off of the priority list, it means that those schools are meeting the state standards for academic achievement.
How long they been on the priority list?
And that's a very good question.
We don't have to go into no detail. Just if you don't know that, we'll go move. We're getting a little late.
Thank you, Mr. Coachman. I was about to say I'd have to bring that back to you.
All right, that's fine.
Okay, very good. But we're going to need your help because we want our schools off of those lists. We also have 4 schools, McCall Elementary Middle, the School of Discovery, Bennettsville Primary School, and Wallace Elementary Middle, who are poised to become Palmetto's finalists. And we'd like to begin the application process. Now, it doesn't mean that they may be awarded this designation this year. I would suspect that within 2 to 3 years, one or all of them should be ready to submit their application. And you say, well, what significance is this? Well, first of all, they're doing some great things. But secondly, the process itself continues to improve what they do, and it also continues to improve student achievement. So we're asking for your help and your support, and we would really appreciate it. Additionally, we'd like to see those schools in 3 to 5 years begin the process of becoming a national Blue Ribbon school. And again, all of this continues to heighten student achievement. It heightens rigor on the campus so far as what we expect our students to know and what we expect them to be able to do. Last but not least, you've heard from Northeastern Tech, you've heard from Mr. Black, and you will hear more from Mr. Farr and his team at the high school and some of the kind of things that are going to be happening here at the high school that will continue their move toward this school being a secondary school of excellence, absolute excellence. And what that's going to mean is that when our students march across that stage, it doesn't matter where they go. They can take a seat in any class, anywhere, and not have to wonder, is what this professor's saying looks like Greek or sounds like Greek. They can take a seat in that classroom and be ready to move forward. Or if they finish the CAPE program, as you heard Mr. Black said, they're going to be completers. They will have passed the industry requirement exams and move into the workforce. So these are things that are coming. Now, here are 2 things I'm asking of you to help make that happen. I'd like to ask for 2 workshops. One, a 2-hour workshop. Because what I'd like to do is share with you who your district staff are and what we do and why. That's important. You need to know who we are. So I'd like 2 hours to do just that. Then I'd like another workshop for maybe 3 to 5 hours or longer, but let's say 5 hours. Yes, sir. If you give me permission, yes, well, if necessary, I'll buy the lunch myself, yes. But yes, sir, Mr. Coachman, with the board, because during the next workshop, what I'd like to do is have you and as well as the administrative team and all of us working together to identify ways that we can support the schools in these initiatives that we have that I've just shared with you. Every one of these initiatives are achievable and can be done, but I really want the board to be a part of the process. So if you were thinking in terms of 2 workshops, one for 2 hours, and then the second one for 3 to 5 hours. Thank you. I have 3 recommendations. I'd like to ask, if you note in your packet, you see a section that says previous minutes. I'd like to ask for your permission, and of course most of you know Ms. Pearson is not here this evening. Do keep her and her family in your prayers. She lost her mother Sunday evening. But Ms. Pearson worked 3.5 weeks on our minutes because she provided detailed minutes following what we thought you wanted. I'm asking for permission to allow her to do summary minutes, which will include the exact wording of any motion that's and I've provided for you 2 copies of 2 of your previous summary minutes from 2013, and so I'm just asking permission to go back to that, if you will.
No problem.
We just started this word for word, didn't we?
I know, it was just 2 months, and I don't know how that happened, but we never did have anything but summary minutes, so we don't even have to vote on that. Just go back to doing what we were doing.
On behalf of Ms. Pearson, thank you. Well, John Lane too, because trust me, I've been without her help for three and a half weeks because she used to do those minutes. Thank you.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Okay, thank you.
I think when there are issues that there's a lot of discussion, if just a couple of the talking points in the discussion could be put in there.
And we can do that.
Just a few, but every and duh doesn't need to be in
Okay,
there.
we can do that.
Okay.
And
Is
thank
that
you.
agreeable with everybody? Okay.
And thank you very
All right.
much. I'd like to ask for your permission to conduct a series of focus groups at BIS. Ms. Bright, this is in reference, you and I are thinking just alike. I want to take time to hear the parents, and also even the staff. I want to do a few of the staff, and allow them to help us to come up with both short-range and long-range goals for the situation we have at BIS. And I'm asking for a couple of months to do this, and then I'll come back to you and I'll share with you what the parents are recommending. But I think it's good to hear them, and it's also good to allow them to help us develop, a workable solution to our BIS situation. Yes.
So on this focus group, will you select people to be involved, or will it be for anyone that's interested? Tell me how that'll work.
And that's a good question, and I've been pondering both ways will work, but I've been pondering which technique to use, and with one focus group, I may ask the administrator, Mr. Singletary, and his staff to recommend some people. And then
I got one recommendation.
Yes.
Mr. Graham that was here earlier.
Excellent, I agree. So maybe on one or two of the groups, we may select some people, and then on some other groups, we may allow them to volunteer. But if we do the focus groups, I think we can give them an opportunity to talk to us, and I'll bring you back full reports. Okay. The third recommendation, I'm going to ask you to allow me to scratch, because I went back and checked your policy.
We don't have standing committees.
Bingo, that's what the manual says. So, so John Lynn.
But when you want short-term committees,
okay,
we can work that out. We've done that before. Sure. Yeah.
Okay, very good.
That's not a problem. It's just, and I don't know why they don't have it, but it's in the policy. We don't have standing committees.
Yes, I went and checked, and I said, let me respectfully ask that we have, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then, Madam Chairperson, board members, that's my report.
Dr. Lane, I got one question. I had several parents concerned about the computer labs at the high school. Has it set up yet?
No, sir, they're not set up, and here's where we are, and that's the problem. And we have, if I'm not mistaken, and I need Dr. McLeod and Mr. Park to help me with this. I think we've let out the bid for the electricians. Yes, please come forward, Mr. Park.
You can just bring it back. I just wanted to let you know that parents are very concerned about that.
Don't we have testing next month?
We of course we do have existing labs in the high school right now, but the labs for online testing that we receive the funding for, there has been an advertisement. We have the physical plans, and there is a mandatory pre-bid meeting. I believe is it next week?
So
next week.
We just started a pre-bid meeting, and when's the testing gonna begin?
Testing. Well, now, there is one test that will take, I think either October or November.
October.
Yeah.
October.
Yeah. But now,
how we gonna do that?
But is Ms. Cannon in the building? Because she and I met last week. Ms. Cannon is in November.
I'm just letting you know there's a great concern from parents about the computer lab. That they know that kids got to take tests on computer. Just want to bring it to your attention.
Thank you, Reverend Woods.
He said November. Are we going to be ready by November to do online testing?
Well, the expectation is that lab, the physical electrical work will be completed by the end of October.
Now, these are exigent circumstances, so it seems to me we can maybe short circuit some things, that we need. I know you're trying to get the procurement process
Well, we've already got the plans have already been developed, and maybe Mr. Toole might want to talk a little bit about what are part of those plans. Of course, is adding things. Okay.
And Dr. Lane, we have some community folks who would like to become assets for the all the teachers and be listed there. So I'd like to maybe talk about forming a committee on that. You know,
Okay.
It wouldn't be a standing committee, but it would just be
A get-started committee.
Yes.
And thank you, and we'd welcome that.
Okay.
Thank
Great.
Let's put that on the next agenda.
you. Sounds good, okay, thank you.
Good deal.
And Dr. Lane, I know you're new at this, but this is a long meeting.
It's a very long meeting.
Long meeting. And we have asked in the past that information be provided to us, which it has been in part, here, written information so that we can read it, and if we have questions, we'd like to ask about it.
Okay.
And, you know, it's just hard when you go this long to stay focused on everything. So we need a little bit shorter time span and explanation, and maybe more provision here, and, you know, a little briefer explication. I'd just like to ask that as a courtesy.
Consider it done. We'll be glad to.
Thank you.
No, you're quite welcome.
All right, next we have executive session, and I need a motion to go into executive session for personnel matters, contractual matters, new hires, resignations, high school petitions, receipt of legal advice, and acting superintendent's issues.
Madam Chairman, so moved.
And is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. Get your hands up so we can have a vote. I'm going to declare it unanimous.
We come back into open session.
I second.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. There you go. You can raise it walking. We're back in open session. No action was taken. No decision was made. Dr. Carr.
Madam Chair, school board members, the administration recommends approval of 3 elections and 1 resignation.
Madam Chairman, I move to accept the administration's recommendation.
I second.
All in favor, please raise your right hand. Man, everybody's eager to vote tonight. Motion's carried unanimously. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay.
I make a motion, hallelujah, to adjourn.
Second, somebody, come on. All in favor, raise your right hand. Good. We're adjourned.